Okay, excellent. This is session 13 of our Castles and Crusades Midlands game. After facing giant crabs, leviathans, and narrowly avoiding a mutiny, the Spirit of Ambition is the only one of the 3-ship fleet to reach the shores of Emeraude. Despite Jackdaw's best efforts, angry whispers still circulate as Captain Farrington takes direct charge of the landing party, heading for the forbidding edifice of Brackenwold Castle that looms in the distance. And in that distance, smoke rises from the town of Balthorpe. It is under attack by raiders from the nearby Diaries. Before the party has time to formulate the plan, there is a terrible braying sound from the forest to the west of them, and a bestial band of goatmen, foam and blood flecking their lips and dribbling off their rust-stained armour, bursts forth from the nearby woodland. Ever vigilant and watchful, Lieutenant Uffington is ready with his sword. As this, the woodland bursts apart, branches, twigs, leaves going everywhere, and this roiling, chaotic crowd of beastmen burst forward wearing a ramshackle armour. They appear savage, like I say, foam dribbling from their lips. Most of them look vaguely humanoid with those bent backwards digigrade goat legs. You can see from your position as you're sort of like ready, Lieutenant, most of them look very human in terms of their faces, just a slight goat-like cast. They have 2 small horns. However, lurking further back in the trees, you can just about make out a probably about 6 foot tall, bulky figure. You can see the jagged outline of armour plating on its silhouette, and you can see 2 long, curved, spiralling horns jutting up from its head. What do you do, Lieutenant?
I call, "Here comes the welcoming committee, lads," and I take a couple of paces forward, prepare to meet them, giving my, hopefully, the guys behind me a chance to recover.
Okay, you see your Sergeant Thomas Fallow starts shouting orders to your mercenaries. You see the 5 mercenary infantry you've got draw their swords, their short swords, and you see the 5 archers sort of like drop down to their knees, like to start notching arrows and pulling their bows back as this horde rolls towards you.
I will have my shield out in the left arm, and then sorry if I missed it, but how far away is this horde?
They're about 30 feet away from you. You guys have been sort of skirting the edge of the Dolmen Wood, heading towards Balthorpe. And basically, as you're sort of moving along with the Dolmen Wood there, they suddenly burst out of it.
Yeah. Okay, so they spring out and I guess I will just follow the lieutenant in that I will get the shield out, get my fighting club out, and start to form somewhat of a line, I guess, with the rest of our mercenaries and the lieutenant himself. And I will just to be sure, I will be studying the Great Horned One, John.
Okay, not a problem. Luckily, due to his size, although he's still like lurking in the shadows of the foliage, because he's so big and he's got these massive horns, he's not difficult to pick out. So you can, and he's got a humanoid physique, so that's absolutely fine. Okay, Big Mick.
It's probably a bit too late to head back to the boat, so I could kind of shelter behind the lieutenant there.
Yeah, don't forget, you've as well as you've got your NPCs, so you've got your 5 infantry, your 5 bowmen, you've got Gregor, your sergeant. You've also got like a gaggle of some sailors, although they're not really fighting men. and obviously Captain Farrington and the first mate is there as well.
Maybe I will maybe corral the sailors and the captain, and imagining they're sort of like lingering slightly in the back rank.
Well, as you look over towards Captain Farrington, you can see he's actually got like his rapier drawn, and it looks like he's getting ready to like stride forward. He's just like drawing his rapier.
Oh, right. Okay. I think I'll maybe hang around with those guys in case the enemy kind of break through our front lines. I'm going to be the strategic reserve.
Okay. No problems.
It's looking a bit tasty.
Okay, so on the NPC's turn, Captain Farrington shouts, "Come on, men, here's our chance for glory. Let's show these Brackenwolders what we're made of." And he strides forward with his sword. The sailors are like, "Fuck that." You see the first mate, Cartwright, so obviously that tries to reach out. You can't hear what he's saying amongst the chaos and the howling of these beastmen, but you can tell, Mick, you're mixed in amongst them, that he's obviously trying to like persuade the captain to like hold back, and the captain's having none of it. So in the end, Cartwright just like falls back and he stays with the sailors. You see Farrington take a few steps forward, and immediately as these beastmen are sort of running forward, some of them are dropping to all fours, and they're bounding across the ground, covering it like it was no distance at all. You see 3 of these beastmen literally just like dive on top of Farrington, and he goes down. You can see his like rapier flailing around as these 3 just like dogpile onto the top of him and bear him down under the weight of their bodies. Okay, so the beastmen continue rolling forward. They're not going to get to you at the moment, Mick. You're in amongst all of the crowd. So I'm going to do 1 attacking the lieutenant and 1 attacking Jackdaw. Okay, the 1 attacking the lieutenant misses, and the 1 attacking Jackdaw misses. So as you're watching, you see your infantrymen start engaging these beastmen. You hear the sound of sort of fairly well maintained gleaming swords, because obviously your sergeant sort of drills the men quite thoroughly and makes sure all their equipment is up to scratch. You hear the sounds of these swords clashing with hoof, horn and rusted blade. As you watch, a couple of your men are able to like stab one of these beastmen, and it goes down, letting out this high-pitched whinnying, braying scream as they're like "Argh!" and like stabbing it down onto the ground. You see it's like bright red blood spraying up into the air. One of your infantrymen, however, one of the beastmen leaps on him and literally like tears his throat out with his teeth. You see the beastman pull his head back, just this mangled lump of flesh hanging out of its mouth, blood spraying everywhere, and this man falls down like trying to hold his throat in with his hand. You see blood pouring over his arm. He collapses to the floor, his face already going white. Then there's as your 5 bowmen take aim and loose their arrows. Okay, as one of the beastmen runs towards you, Lieutenant, and like leaps through the air, suddenly an arrow goes and hits it in the throat. It slides to the floor and just like skids to a halt at your feet, dead, with this arrow sticking out of its neck. All the other arrows seem to have like bounced off armour or like patter around these beastmen. You see your archers like look at, well, I tell you, maybe a 2d6 roller, Lieutenant. I see how well your archers like managed to like hold it together. You can hear Thomas Fallow, your sergeant, saying, "Steady, man! Steady! Reload! Reload!" Okay.
Not too well.
You can see that they're all obviously a bit shaken by the sheer ferocity and the fact they've just seen one of their guys get his throat torn out. But thanks to probably your presence and the influence of the sergeant, although they're a bit shaky and they're a bit sort of like nervous, you can see them all sort of trying to notch arrows into their bow and like pull the string back. Okay. Well, from where you are, Jackdaw, as this tide of bestial anger and frenzy rolls forward. You can see this tall, horned figure slowly sort of striding forward at the back of this group. As it moves forward, you see it like going, like pushing smaller saplings out of the way. There's also a cracking as its horns brush against branches, snapping them off as it moves. Lieutenant, you can't really see this sort of horned figure because you're sort of in it, whereas Jackdaw's like obviously taking a look at it.
Okay. I would imagine the one that just missed me. I brought my shield up just in time and caught it maybe under the chin, just took it off balance, but it's clinging to my shield now, so I just let my shield lower slightly and bam, split its skull with my sword.
Okay, the sort of generic beast skin troops are AC 12. They don't appear to be wearing any armour, but they have like quite sort of tough, like shaggy hides from the look of them.
With venom, with a bash and a meat frosted with ferocity. Switch into warrior mode.
Indeed, the rest of you, if you glance across the lieutenant, you see his face is grim and sad as he's falling back on his warrior's training and not like allowing his emotions to colour what he's doing. He's here to do a job. You watch as he like lowers his shield, and this thing, mistakenly thinking it's got the edge on him, like leans forward to go over the shield, and he just skewers it through the neck with his sword. It falls backwards to the ground. You can see it scrabbling to try and get back to its feet, but blood is pulsing out of this deep wound on its neck.
I will assist the lieutenant. I will follow his lead and bring the beat down to this fool who still has the audacity to stand.
Okay, so what, are you attacking one of the regular troops, or are you making a beeline for the what appears to be
I'm just the regular folks, because I think I'm going to need to wait for the big one to approach a little bit more before doing a thing. But
okay.
So I follow the lieutenant into the fray, and the one that the lieutenant cut didn't fall, right?
But basically he's fallen down. He's slowly like shakily rising to his feet. You can see blood's just like pouring out of his neck. He looks like he's swaying on his feet, like he's on the ropes.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and do the coup de grace, as they say in my native land.
Indeed.
Let's see here. So he's on the ground, or at least like thereabouts. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a +2 to this because, like I say, he's literally like.
Yeah, he's not very well prepared for this. So I put it there, I think, and then everything else is set to go. Okay, so so he's trying to get up. I get my club and we go for the overhead, and I miss because that's what I do. It's what I'm here for. It's the service that I provide.
Okay, so you swing with your club. As it comes down, the sort of injured beastman with the last of his remaining strength like grabs hold of your arm, and you're slowly sort of like pushing him down to the ground, but he's desperately clinging on to it.
It's a grim scene because I was like pushing this like blunt wooden piece into his face very slowly. Okay. It's just like, no.
Okay, we'll move on to Big Mick.
Yeah, I think Mick glances over and sees that the lads are having a little bit of bother with this beast man, and I think he's like stood there. He's got his coat on, and he's got this gladius is just kind of hanging down loosely by his side. He's not waving it around. He's just like he's got it there like it was like a cleaver in the butcher's shop, just hanging down by his side, and he's gonna like waltz up to the beast man, like bowl up to him, you know, with a bit of a funny walk, and he's just kind of like like that, and just kind of stab him, you know, just kind of flick it and try and all nonchalant, you know.
Make your attack roll.
So I should have adjusted the sheet.
You give it some of the old like Cockney walk over to him, and then like
boom, yeah, all kind of subtle but sudden. A 90.
That'll do. Roll your damage.
more or less a flick of the wrist.
Yep, so you flick your wrist, your gladius. Again, you feel no resistance as it slices through this flesh like a hot knife going through butter. And you slice this beastman's head as it's sort of like holding Jackdaw's arm and trying to arrest the motion of his club. You just lop its head off with almost a careless sweep. The head just like and bounces onto the floor. The body just releases your club and topples to the floor. Jackdaw.
Pain in the arse. Get out of it.
Okay, we move on to the NPCs. Okay, so I'm going to do one of them attacking each of you, obviously including yourself now, Mick, because you're in it. Okay, so the one attacking the lieutenant misses. One attacking Jackdaw misses. And the one attacking Big Mick misses. So, in the chaos of this melee, there's these things like clawing at you and trying to grab hold of you, but with everyone sort of moving around and weapons coming in from every side, they're not able to land a sort of decent blow on you. However, as you're sort of like you're fending them off, you're knocking them out of the way, all of you, you hear a couple of screams, and as you glance to your left, Jackdaw, you see a couple of your bowmen get torn down to the ground by these beastmen. Can you make me a morale check for the for your hirelings, please?
Oof.
Okay, yep, you're, if anything, the fact that a couple of their number have been killed seems to have like steeled their resolve, and they sort of grit their teeth and grab the weapons and sort of return fire effectively. Okay, another one of the beastmen is torn down by your assaulted infantrymen and the various sailors, although the sailors aren't really helping much because, as you all know from the journey, they're just a gaggle of like whoever was available and like wasn't afflicted with the plague. They're not combatants. However, as you're sort of like wading through them yourself, Big Mick, you suddenly hear a from the left of you. You turn to your left and you see Gregor stood there wearing his armour, and he's just literally cleaved one of these beastmen in half with his two-handed sword. And you watch as like two halves of the body just go like
nice,
and fall to the ground.
Nicely done.
Okay. So we move on to the lieutenant.
Okay. I shall wade into the fray. Swinging left and swinging right as I take on these hideous beastmen. Oof! What the?
Yeah, that'll do it, Lieutenant.
That's yeah. Okay.
Roll your damage.
Yes. Well, slightly taken aback by the thrust of my own attack.
Okay, describe how you
Wading.
dispatch one of these creatures with one mighty blow.
Well, I'm obviously never going to be able to outdo Gregor. However, I get close. Going for between the head and the shoulder and just it goes in maybe 8 inches or so with the blade, and I have to sort of prise it and rag it out, and this guy just his neck explodes in blood.
Indeed, as you tear your weapon free and there's a spray of blood up into the air, the crowd seems to part with it. You look up to see like Gregor sort of stood about 5 foot away from you, sort of looking in your direction, and he just goes. Okay, as you look up from that, Lieutenant, you see this huge horned creature that appears to be leading this band has now sort of stepped forward more into the light. You can see it more fully. It's got like dinted armour plating and like ragged bits of chainmail hanging off it, and these sort of like 2-3 foot long horns emerging from its head. And as you slice this beastman in two almost, this huge horned creature, its dark eyes seem to lock on yours, and it crouches down as though it's perhaps getting ready to leap or something similar. But before it has a chance to do that, Jackdaw.
I will let go of my club, which is attached to me by the way of a leather thong at the end of the club. So I just let it swing, basically like just roll down my arm, and I'll get my grappling hook, and I'll swing it like a lasso, stepping to the side. I'll try to lasso the horns on this individual.
Okay, what's your aim in doing this?
I want to get it tangled enough so that I can actually like pull on the rope and like move him.
Okay, yeah, so I'm happy for you to do that. Obviously that will be a dex roll. I am going to tell you that if you should fail in this roll, effectively it's going to like grab hold of the rope and pull you closer.
Yeah, it's going to be me who's going to be moving. Yeah, my whole thing is if I succeed, I'm going to call out to the sailors like, hey, you dumbasses, like you can haul rope, so like get tugging and hopefully we can just like keel haul this dude.
Yeah, nice, I love it.
Okay,
Make a
so
dex roll.
I swing it like a lasso, and I think because I didn't really succeed in clubbering the smaller guy, I sort of yell out like "Gale" as I as I actually like try to noose him. Here you go. Yeah, there we go. Gale is with me.
Literally, the rope sort of it sails through the horns, and as you pull it back, the actual grappling hook sort of sticks with the spikes of the horns. You see this thing going like as it's like thrashing its head about, but you've got the grappling hook in. Yeah,
and I yell back to the sailors like, "Get the rope!" And I have like in my other hand, I swing the rest of my rope.
The sailors all start running over and sort of grabbing hold of the rope.
Yeah, and my whole thing is then like leading the crew with like dragging this guy on the ground so that it cannot like freely just start murdering us. So we're just like pulling him along.
Nice.
Yep.
Get the old shit. Let's get a sea shanty going. Haul away or whatever, you know.
Okay, Big Mick, you've seen all this craziness with the grappling hook. You see this huge beast throwing its head around, trying to sort of dislodge it, but it's not doing so. And you see all the sailors like, some of them are just like screaming, like absolutely terrified. But Jack, they've obviously like, they're quite scared of Jackdaw as well. And when he's like, grab this rope and pull, they're like,
I did threaten to like take all their ears earlier, so
I imagine Big Mick's there standing a little bit sort of shocked by it all, but it's almost like barroom brawl kind of scenario here. Like, so they're coming by and he's just ducking and they elbowing one and then like gets one and like boots it up the arse sort of thing. And by this point I feel like he's got the gladius and he's like reversed his grip on it, so he's got it like in a dagger sort of style, and he's going to try and get up to one and like, you know, grab him by the head, you know, get him in the eyeballs or whatever and like shiver him in the neck kind of thing.
Go for it.
That's what he's going for. He's got right close quarter stuff now. So we'll see how he fares. Now I've built my part up. We'll see how this goes.
that'll do it.
Okay.
Roll your damage.
A glancing blow.
Okay, you stab this creature in the eye, and again, as you're going to stab it, it's almost again as though this gladius sort of twists to like inflict more of a dangerous blow. So in your hand to redirect it. So it's not dead. However, you've got your gladius like stuck through its eye, and it's like, but it's still alive. Okay, so we move on to the NPCs. Now I'm going to ask Jackdaw, can you please make yourself, I know it's been out of sequence, but can you make yourself a strength roll? You can add 4 to it to represent all of the sailors you've got like pulling on this rope.
I think I've added the 4 correctly. Let's see if this works. Yeah, it did. It did correctly. Yep.
Okay, is strength a primary for you?
Secondary.
Okay, So it's not enough to pull the creature off its feet, and as you watch, it reaches up with its sort of claw and it slices through the rope. However, that's going to be its only action for the turn, sort of like pulling this off its horns. So it's not. You've still actually stopped it from like just jumping into the lieutenant and having a go. Okay, so NPCs. Okay, another 2 of your infantry swordsmen get torn down by the remaining couple of beastmen. The sort of tearing the grappling hook from its horns, the huge figure starts like striding forwards. However, it's not going to get to you until next round because it spent time pulling this grappling hook out. Okay, Lieutenant, there's only 2 of the short-horn beastmen left. Although your hirelings are looking in a bit of a sad way. You've only got 2 swordsmen and 3 archers left out of the sort of run-of-the-mill troops. And the sailors have taken a bit of a beating as well.
Okay, I shall attempt to dispatch these 2 as quickly as possible. One of the special abilities of a fighter, of my qualities, that I can attack 2 creatures of level 1 or lower.
You can indeed.
Same action. Same turn, rather. So as attack 1, leaping in, try and stab it through the guts to start with.
That'll do. Roll your damage.
Stabby, stabby.
Okay, that's 1 done. So make a roll for your second one.
And quickly withdrawing the blade, backhand to the other one. Just within striking range.
Okay, so you've not managed to get the second one, but describe how you take down the first.
Yeah, I step in quickly. I probably put my shield up against the other second one and shove into his guts, pulling it out, and his entrails just spill everywhere. However, in doing that, I'm still slightly off balance, so obviously I missed the other guy.
Indeed, and as you look round, you can see the other one running towards you with its head lowered and these 2 short horns, obviously planning to charge towards you. But before it gets to you, we've got Jackdaw.
Okay. Guess I. I guess I wouldn't necessarily have the time to make like a crude loop out of because I have the rope because it cut the rope. I think I'm probably don't have time to make a loop out of it and then try and lasso it with just the rope.
If you're going to make the loop, that would be your action.
Yeah, and then the next time would be the actual thing.
Yeah.
I guess I'm letting go of the rope and get the club back in the hand, and I will try and brain the last smaller individual. Again, coming to the lieutenant's side after my brief escapade with the grappling hook. Okay, here it goes. So I charge in with the shield and the club. I just either it's 20s or shit with me, and it's mostly shit.
Okay, so you swing your club, but you're not able to land a decisive blow on the short-horned beastman. It's all down to Big Mick and his gladius of shark slaying.
Yep. I will try and step in the way there, maybe trip him up and stab him.
Go for it. So, as this thing charges towards the lieutenant with its head down, you step in the way, pull your gladius. However, you've
accidental misfire.
You've underestimated how quickly this thing is moving, and it gets to you before you can land a blow. And it's hit you. And that has caused 4 hit points of damage as this thing's head and horns just impacts with your chest.
Bastard.
And you feel 2 pinpricks of pain as the short horns dig into your chest. you're sort of like knocked backwards into the lieutenant. Obviously the lieutenant's braced so you don't fall over. So Big Mick like stumbles back into your lieutenant. You can see this thing's like head sort of embedded in his chest.
Get out of the way, Big Mick.
I'm not fully in control of this situation, I have to say.
Okay, there's a loud, bestial, deep roar from the large horned creature, and it strides forward. As it does, Captain Farrington comes running in from the side and like gets in the way of it with his rapier, and he's like, "You will not get past me, beast!" And the creature literally just like grabs his head and goes and wrenches his head off his shoulders. Farrington's like body just stands upright for a few moments, like blood fountaining out of its neck, and then topples to the floor. The creature holds up his severed head with this like look of like shock on his head, just blood dripping out the bottom of it, and lets out a roar before hurling it into the middle of your group. Seeing this, a cry goes up from your infantry, and they basically break ranks and start to like head for the hills. You see the sergeants are running after them, like trying to get them back. You think your young Link boy somewhere with him. You see the standard like bobbing up and down. He's obviously running away as well. Gregor has stayed with you guys, but your infantry is scattered. They broke effectively.
Very wise.
Lieutenant, there's just this one beastman menacing Big Mick and this huge horned creature that's just annihilated Captain Farrington.
I rather liked the captain, even though he was a fop. I shall.
You must be like the only person on the ship who does.
Yeah, I did. I liked him. I shall, but I won't let anyone know. I shall step to one side, allowing Mick to retreat a couple of steps under the onslaught of this thing, and approach and engage the huge creature. Trying at first, a few slashes and stabs just to gauge its metal.
Go for it.
Well, it's single. Yeah, it's tough. Yes.
Okay. So
miss.
Your blade scrapes off one of these armor plates that are sort of like seemingly randomly like patched to its body. Sparks fly up as your sword like off the surface of them. It looks down at you and like lets out this like and there's like as fetid air blows out of its nostrils. Okay. Jackdaw, you see the lieutenant sort of like shielding his face a bit as he's like.
So we still had the one smaller one, the regular sized individual. Yeah. Yeah, at this point I'm just cursing at this beast man in Gaulish because I'm getting frustrated with the lack of success with my club. So I will just beat on him until one of us dies.
So is this the larger beastman or the smaller one?
The smaller individual. Yeah. He needs to go away pronto. Okay. So, sorry. What is this? The smaller beastman doing at the moment?
It's just charged into sort of Big Mick, like headbutting his chest. Big Mick stepped backwards a little bit as the lieutenant's gone out of the way, and it's now just sort of like lifting its head, and it's obviously looking around, planning its next move.
Okay, so I will get in the back then, because that is good for me. Here it goes. With the club, I charge in once more.
Go for it.
And this time, Gale.
Like you say, it's 20 or nothings.
Yeah.
Okay, roll your damage.
Okay, and then damage is that one. Well,
okay,
I had my day.
You hit this thing on the back, driving it down onto one knee. but you've not inflicted sufficient damage on it to slow it down. But like I say, you've knocked it down onto one knee, and it's sort of turned around and snarled at you through this twisted human-like face. Big Mick. However, if you want to attack it, you will now, thanks to Jackdaw, get a bit of a Brucey bonus because it's down on one knee, it's slightly prone. So if you attack it, you will get a +2 to your roll.
Yeah, I've definitely seen it go down there. I just like jump on it and try and stab it in the kidneys, sort of thing. Booyah! Have some of that.
Roll your damage.
Ooh.
Okay, describe how you take out this beastman as it's slowly trying to rise to its feet.
Yeah, just sort of like it gets his boot up on its neck, sort of thing, like holding it down with his foot, and then just stabbing at its kidneys repeatedly.
Nice.
With his gladius.
And that's exactly what happens. It goes down under the joint assault of Jackdaw and Big Mick. You can still hear the as this huge horned beast is striding towards the melee. Then suddenly from behind it you see the first mate, Cartwright, basically leaps up, and he's sort of got his sword around its neck and sort of he's trying got his arms around its neck, and he's, as it's sort of struggling and he's going like that and it's thrashing around, he's like, "There's more coming! Quick, get to the forest!" And you see he's trying to wrestle with this thing. Okay, this creature reaches backwards, sinks one of its claws into Farrington and just throws him over its head. He lands next to you, Lieutenant. You can see he's got a horrible wound in his side where this thing's claws have sunk into him. One of his legs doesn't appear to be working properly. There's blood pouring out of his side onto his clothes. As he coughs and he grabs hold of your jerkin, he coughs, a bit of blood runs down the side of his face, and he's like, "Lieutenant, I can see more of them coming to the woods. We've got to get out of here. The captain's gone. We don't stand a chance." With their numbers depleted, the lieutenant lets out a cry of,
"To the trees!"
Shouting for his allies to join him, the lieutenant and his party start to withdraw. However, the large beastman starts to step forward, but his progress is arrested by Gregor stepping in front of him and drawing his two-handed sword. Gregor glances back over his shoulder at his companions and shouts,
"Go! Get to trees! Quickly, go!"
The heroes run into the nearby Dolmenwood, a strange enchanted place spoken only of in legend on the mainland of the Havenlands. Winter seems to have found no purchase in the Dolmenwood, and the trees still display their leafy finery. Big Mick carries the injured Cartwright as they run, leaving the sounds of the battle far behind. After what seems like hours, they stop to catch their breath. You hear a cough from Cartwright, and he's like, I don't know how much farther I can go on. He says, I know the captain was a fool, but damn it, that's no way for any man to die.
No, you got that right. We ought to rest up, lads. Old Cartwright here, he looks like he's struggling.
Seeing the terrible state of Cartwright, Jackdaw offers to speed him on his way painlessly to the afterlife, but the injured first mate shakes his head. At which point he says, in case I shouldn't make it, there's probably something I should tell you. We didn't reveal all of the details of our mission to the crew. I'm sure you can understand why. And he tries to sort of smile at you, Jackdaw, but he breaks off into racking coughing. He says, "You've seen how untrustworthy some of them are." He says, part of the reason we were sent here, we told the men we were coming to look for plants and strange herbs that could heal the plague. That's not strictly true. There's a legend of a of a being who lives in this forest, who has the ability to grant a man's heart's desire if motivated sufficiently. It was Sir Francis's hope when he began this expedition that this creature could be located, and if if it truly can grant a man's desire, that it would have the power to end the plague. He says that's part of the reason I was chosen for this expedition. Those of us who have a touch of the otherworldly in our blood can sometimes sense these creatures, and as we've got nearer, I've dreamed of this creature, this woman.
I presume it's not really a woman, though.
And he looks around, he's like the howling of animals in the distance, and he says, I don't know, all I can tell you is how she appeared to me, a beautiful woman with long golden hair. She reminded me, it was strange when I saw her in my dream, it was almost as though I'd known her once, but that wasn't possible. But I had a couple of such dreams while we travelled. But I thought, in case I don't make it, I should at least tell you. That way someone might still be able to find the cure for the plague.
Very good.
And he sort of like lies back near the patch of sort of brambles in this like overgrown, dense area that you're in. And he's like, as he's like holding his side, you can see he's tried to sort of like wad some of his clothing up to like staunch the blood flow, but he's very pale. There's like dark rings around his eyes. He does not look in a good way at all. He says, I'm sorry, apart from my dreams, I can't really tell you a great deal more.
Just rest a minute there, mate. Have a drink, and I'll give him a bit of a drink or something or other. I've probably swiped a bit of rum off the boat or something.
That's fine. He smiles at him and he's like, oh, thank you, Mr. Michael. And he takes off and he takes like a sip with like a shaking hand, but he only gets like half a sip, and then he's like, and he holds it out back to you.
Okay.
And then he sort of lies back in an almost like wistful way. He says, "Still, I suppose there's worse ways to go. At least we gave a good showing of ourselves. Hey, fellows, and I got to see this place."
Yeah, I've got to say the scenery's not too bad. It definitely could be worse.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Mr. Michael. You're not wrong.
The heroes bed down for the evening, making camp as best they can. Jackdaw volunteers to take the first watch and scales a tree. As darkness begins to fall and the forest falls a little more silent, he starts to make out the sound of low, murmured voices coming from somewhere to the north of them, deeper into the forest. After listening to the sonorous chanting for several minutes, Jackdaw's keen eyesight picks out a long overgrown and briar-strewn path heading to the north. Climbing down from the tree, he tells Cartwright that he's going to go and investigate. Cartwright gives in a small horn, telling him to blow it if he gets into any trouble. Jackdaw nods and, notching an arrow to his bow, creeps northwards along the path.
You head down this overgrown path. Obviously, you're an assassin, so you can't not to make any noise, etc. That's fine. As you make your way down this overgrown path, it eventually opens out into what appears to be a large clearing, and in front of you, you can see what appears to be a circle of 7 standing stones with like a dolmen in the centre of it, and beyond that is what appears to be a huge earthen mound with an ancient stone doorway in the front of it. As you're watching, you can see what appeared to be 2 figures wearing long, dark brown, almost black robes with hoods pulled over their faces. They appear to be chanting. One of them is holding up what appears to be some sort of golden torque or piece of jewellery, which you think from this, maybe it's like an owl or some sort of animal. The other one is holding aloft a silver curved knife. Tied to the centre dolman is what appears to be a young woman. Her eyes are wild and staring, and she appears to be like staring straight through these two guys, almost as though she's not seeing them. And the strangest thing is that her face appears to be daubed with some sort of substance that's glowing faintly blue in the darkness. She's wearing a black, almost like lacy gown, and has long braided red hair cascading down over her shoulders.
Pretty normal night out for old Jackdaw, I'd imagine.
Yeah, this is my crowd. I'm home. I joined the Dolman cult, and you guys can continue without me.
You see the two hooded figures appear to be walking sort of backwards and forwards in front of this woman and around the inside of the stone circle. Occasionally, one of them raises their voice and lifts the knife up into the air, and then they return to going around. Occasionally, the second one will walk up to the young woman, so like touches this golden torque to her forehead, and then they continue walking around and chanting.
And the woman is not actively doing anything herself. She's there.
She doesn't actively appear to be trying to escape, but she doesn't look as though she's entirely with it.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of like, you're getting, obviously you're not getting close enough to be spotted, but as you're getting a bit closer, you can see that there's an odd sort of like dark stain around her mouth.
I'm going to... I'm going to get behind a tree, and I'll get an arrow, I'll get the bow, lean like as flat as I can against the tree, and John, I will spend at least 3 rounds looking at the individual with the knife.
Absolutely fine.
And I'll wait for a couple of cycles, just because I'm like, I don't know what this is. So I'll see if the thing progresses at all. Like, do they actually like change the like things that they do with the ritual?
They continue walking around. The chanting continues for like almost an hour. They don't make any attempt to like harm the woman. She doesn't make any attempt to escape. Then as we're getting to the end of an hour, the one holding the golden torque sort of steps up to her, and in very heavily accented, it sounds a bit like Havenlander, but with a few odd words thrown in. It might be what passes for the common tongue here about. He holds up this golden torque, and a sort of shaft of moonlight lances down through the trees and shines off it, and he says, "Blessed is the blood of the innocent," and he holds his torque to the woman, and she cranes forward, restrained by the ropes, and kisses this golden torque. At which point the figure with the knife steps forward. He sort of goes, shh, pulls it out of like the little scab that he's in, and holds the knife up into the air. You can see there are runes carved on the blade as the light of the moon shines on it.
Yeah, I think I'm shooting him now.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. So you make your shooting roll, and while you're doing that, I'm going to jump back to the rest of you guys. Who was on second watch?
Could have been me. Yeah, let's say me.
Okay, so Lieutenant, sort of like an hour's passed, and the travel time, etc. You've sort of woke up to do your watch. You look around, you can't see Jackdaw anywhere. You see, obviously, you can hear Big Mick. He's like snoring away, and you can see that the first mate Cartwright appears to be awake. He's sort of like leaned up against a tree, like his legs out in front of him.
All right, Cartwright. Wasn't Jackdaw up this tree? I can't see him.
Yeah. he heard some noises in that direction. There's some sort of path over there. He said he was going to investigate. I gave him my signal horn in case he got into any trouble, but I've not heard anything. I've been keeping myself awake in case he told me not to wake the rest of you up. Said he'd blow on the horn if he got into any trouble.
Over an hour. That's too long. Crouch over. Big Mick. Mick. Stop snoring.
I imagine I come round, just open one eye.
Okay, you've got a choice. Take an early watch. I'll go and look for Jackdaw. Or both.
What do you mean go and look for Jackdaw?
He's wandered off, as he's wont to do. He's been gone a while. He's got a way of letting us know if there's a problem.
At this point, I'm just going to interject. Jackdaw, have you made your roll to hit this fellow?
It's shit as usual.
Okay.
Because why not?
So your arrow goes and hits the ground just as this guy's advancing with a knife on this woman. Your arrow sticks in the ground next to his foot. He turns around and obviously looks where the arrows come from. I'm going to say you can make a hide roll if you wish to remain unseen.
Yeah, I will try to do that.
Okay.
And probably fail spectacularly. I think it's dexterity.
Yeah, it is.
It's very charitable of you not to shoot him in cold blood.
This is how I roll.
Okay, so by the time you've realised, as soon as you loose the arrow, you're like, that is not going to hit, and you've already started moving. So this person turns around and he looks in the direction that you were stood in, but obviously you're no longer there. As you watch, he points a hand at one of the standing stones, mutters some arcane sounding incantations in this strange tongue, and then casts his hand out towards the place where you were stood, and you watch as this standing stone levitates and then just rolls in the direction and crashes into the tree and pretty much obliterates this tree that you were stood against. But luckily you are no longer there, but you're pretty sure if you were still stood there, that would have been quite painful.
Yeah, because I'm a chicken bone man. I would be paste.
Okay, yeah. So Mick and Lieutenant, as you're having this discussion, what you're going to do. From to the north, further into the forest, you suddenly hear this
What bleeding hell's that?
That's Jackdaw.
Perhaps we should head in the opposite direction.
Mick, follow me.
Oh, I knew you was going to say that.
You going to be alright, Cartwright? Don't go away.
I don't think there's much danger of that, Lieutenant.
Yeah, don't go running off.
He gives you a look, he's like, and you two start heading towards this overgrown path that he indicated. So, Jackdaw, you're concealed. This hooded figure looks around like his hood's fallen back a bit as he was sort of throwing his arm around. You see a human face with a sort of a long, matted beard and tattoos, blue tattoos down each side of his face. And he says, "Who dares interfere with the sacred ceremonies of the Droon?"
I will not move and not make a sound for 3 rounds.
Okay.
And then he's getting the arrow. This time he's getting the arrow. So I'm just laid down in a bush and just motionless. It's like a rabbit.
Okay, so mainly for dramatic effect, I'm going to say you get to unleash your arrow just as Mick and the Lieutenant turn up. So Lieutenant and Mick, you've sort of made your way to the end of this overgrown passageway. You've seen this circle of standing stones with this sort of earth and burial mound behind it, the woman tied to the centre stone, the 2 hooded figures, the lot, as I described it. You can also see that one of these stones appears to have crashed into a tree and pretty much annihilated it, and this figure's like looking around with like sort of anger on his face. You see the tattoos like glowing a little in the moonlight. Jackdaw, make your roll. Okay, that is enough to hit.
Righto. Okay, so the damage is 8, and on top of that, he gets to do a thing. Okay.
I think them wolves are getting closer. They're moving in. They can smell the blood.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm not sure if this is any longer a death attack, because this individual probably knows that someone's shooting arrows.
Yeah.
So it's just the 8 damage then.
Okay, your arrow sinks into this figure. He lets out a cry and sort of like falls backwards a bit, sort of like holding on to the arrow. He's still moving, so he's not dead, but you have definitely injured him. Okay, so obviously, Lieutenant Mick, as you're just sort of getting to this clearing, and you see this guy look around, suddenly there's and this arrow comes out of the trees from like nowhere and sort of sinks into this guy, and he's like, ugh! And staggers back. I'm going to ask, can you all roll initiative?
I wonder who fired that arrow. It can't be Jackdaw.
No, he doesn't use bows, does he?
No, and he always misses.
Yeah, that's the giveaway. Like, I never do anything.
Must be somebody who can shoot.
Someone who's an actual like asset to us.
Yeah, let's see if we can hire them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 copper per day.
Okay, so it's going to be the lieutenant going first. You've seen this guy get hit by the arrow. There's the woman tied to the stone who appears to be making no effort to like free herself. She's got this weird sort of glowing blue, almost like face paint daubed on her face. There's these 2 hooded figures, the one with the golden torque who's uninjured, and the one with this silver knife and these tattoos who has an arrow sticking out of him. Obviously you don't really know what's going on.
No, the man with the knife, is he close enough to strike the girl?
Yeah, he was literally, he looks as though he was like in the process of like stepping up to her with this knife when Jackdaw shot him.
He will be my target. I'll try and disarm, if that's possible. Don't want to kill him outright.
Yeah, go for it.
Maybe something going on that we're not quite privy to.
Okay, so it's not looking good with that roll.
4. Yep.
Okay.
Not good at all.
So
That was a bit of an anti-climax after that, Ian.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah.
So you step forward, you swing your sword, hoping to like knock the knife out of his hand. However, he proves stronger than he looks, and your blades both meet, and again there's a spark of electricity. He's quite like bewildered because you've just somebody come from like nowhere who's looking for the guy with the bow. He wasn't expecting like a dude in armour and a sword to come wading in.
Drop that weapon. Or not. It's entirely up to you.
Okay, it's the NPC's turn. He looks towards you and he says, he sort of holds out his other hand, and you see what appears to be like a ball of green fire burst into life in his hand. But he doesn't like unleash it, he's like holding it in his hand, casting this eerie green light over both yourself and him, the lieutenant. You see like the tattoos on the side of his face appear to be glowing with this baleful green light. And he says, "Who are you to interfere with the priest of the Dolmen Wood? Begone, lest the vengeance of the Droon fall upon your disbelieving heads."
Okay. Lieutenant Uffington, on a secret mission. It appears that you're about to kill this wench. I'm here to intervene.
As you say that, he sort of like opens his hand, and the fire just like dissipates and disappears. And then, quite unexpectedly, he just throws his head back and he laughs. and he's like, his hood falls back. And you see he's like his head's like shaven, bald, and he's got this long beard, like say tattoos all over his head. He turns and looks at you, and he says, "We do not kill. This is an honourable sacrifice, a willing sacrifice. This is our way, the way of the Tolman Woad."
I'll be really confused and look to make, because I can't see.
Okay, so unless anyone's like gonna like jump in with the combat, effectively we're out of like combat rounds. So feel free to just like role play it.
Yeah, I will be lining up a death attack against the main guy.
That's fine. We'll assume unless you say otherwise you're prepped and you're ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so as he says this, the lieutenant looks at you, Mick, and he's like,
Mick's just like turns his face down, shrugs his shoulders a bit. He's got his hand inside his coat on his gladius, but he's sort of like just looking at him sideways. Maybe got his arms crossed. Kind of stood there sizing things up.
The second hooded figure sort of places this torque, which is on like a piece of leather thonging, over the head of the woman and walks towards this sort of small assemblage of people that you're in, and says to the man with the tattoos, says, looks at him, and then he says, we need to finish the ceremony, brother, lest a big chuck arise before it is completed. At which point the tattooed figure nods.
Wait.
He says, hold a minute, Dom Brace. I would speak with these strangers for a moment. Tell me, where do you come from? You are not of the Tolman Woad.
Why not? I've travelled across the sea from the mainland. Who is this dolman of whom you speak? The woods? You are keepers of the woods?
He turns and says something to his companion in a language you don't understand, and they both laugh. And he says the Tolman Woad, or as the outsiders call it, the Wood of Dolmens. And he gestures at the standing stand that's like mashed into the tree.
Okay. Well, if you laugh at me again, it will be the last laugh.
He says, I mean, my apologies, I mean no offence, but it has been a long span of years since I've met anyone who is not aware of the Droon, the watchers of these woods.
No, the only thing closest to this pagan worship I've come across is the Green Man, and I shall reach to my tunic and pull forth the ring, what was it called? The ring of the Green Man.
Mm-hmm.
Leaf ring that I was given.
As you hold it up, he smiles and he says, I know of this symbol. It is a sacred symbol. How did you come across this?
We aided the person who gave it to me. He suggested it may help in our quest in your land.
He looks at you. Obviously, the language you're speaking seems to like not be his first language, and he's struggling a little bit. He says, "What is this quest?"
We seek a woman. I'll look over at the red-haired woman, a blonde-haired woman, I believe.
He turns to his companion and says something in this strange language, and they both look very serious and sort of nod at each other, and there's a bit of like a brief interchange that goes on between them. And he says, well, it would appear that fate has led you to the right place then.
They say she can grant a wish to a man's heart desires.
he looks back at you and he says, a long time ago, the worshippers of the false god tried to make their worship here, and he gestures at this earthen burial mound beyond the standing circle and says, as we knew would be the case, the Tolman Woad would not tolerate their false worship, and they were pushed back. But even though they were outsiders, many of them were brave and fought in battles alongside our brethren. It is because of those people and their bravery that we still honour places like this, and he gestures at the earthen mound, and we protect them as we would protect our own.
Okay. This false god of whom you speak, what is his symbol?
The symbol of the sun.
That's a good
as
job
though
of friar, isn't it?
As though painting a gold symbol is enough to make something powerful that they did not understand.
Well,
he reaches down and he sort of leans down to the grass, and as he does so, he runs his hand along the grass, and the grass seems to, in the clearing, seems to like wave in synchronicity with his hand movement, and he says, the Druid know that true power comes from living things, from the growing world, and he gestures at the woman, and from blood.
I will stride out from the shrub with my bow, with my very blatant bow. Hello.
He looks over towards you and doesn't say anything.
Apologies for not getting the shot right. It was meant to go in the head, and it would have been painless and everything.
Why do you interfere in business that is not your own?
Well, you did say there's power in blood, right?
Yes.
I have a very... Yes. I have a very limited, shall we say, capability in this life, mostly related to the shedding thereof.
He smiles and says, yes, there is much power in blood. And then he bites his own finger, and he goes like that and flicks a spray of blood up into the air. As he does so, each of these droplets of blood flares briefly into sparks of green fire before dissipating.
You have the gift of magic.
The powers of the natural worlds are ours to command as long as we protect the Tolman Woad. There is power beyond, and at this point he turns to you, Lieutenant, and he says, again, I mean, you no offence, but there is power in these ancient places beyond the likes that you can imagine. Dangerous power for those who are unaware.
You did. I think I overheard correctly. While trying not to be smushed by a rock.
At which point he starts as though he's just like, remember that, and he says, and he throws his hand out, and you watch as this rock that was embedded in this tree just like
goes back,
rolls back into the place it was, and like stands upright again.
Yeah. The sacrifice of blood has to be made willingly. Is that correct?
The sacrifice of willing blood has much power to it.
Yes. Seeing as you're already bleeding. And I trail off and look between the actual sacrifice and the bleeding dolmen priest.
He says, "Good, I see you understand," and he sort of lifts the knife and he starts walking back towards the woman.
Wait! I'll stand between.
He's literally going like that to put the knife up to her throat, and she's actually leaning forward and going like that with her neck. But then you step in between them, and he sort of stops, and again he looks confused.
Oh.
He did not pick up on my thing at all. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm back towards I'm just going to
Just gonna study you for a bit here.
Yeah, gonna have a little look-see.
So what will happen if you do not sacrifice this girl?
There are creatures within the Tolman world, ancient creatures that some would call gods, some demons, some would call them other things. These creatures are kept in check by the efforts of my brotherhood. This beautiful creature, and he gestures with his non-knife hand towards the woman, gives her blood willingly, knowing that doing so she saves her family and many other families from a far worse fate, knowing that her essence will flow into the Tolman world and she will be part of it for the rest of days.
Well, fellas, I think that seems quite fair enough from where I'm standing. Perhaps we should leave them to it and just mosey on our way. Perhaps?
I would like to get all up in the sacrificial ceremony leader's business, and I'm gonna whisper to him, does it matter who spills the blood?
You see a kind of look of dawning comprehension on his face, and he says, "Only those who know the ancient ways, the lines of the blood and the incantations can make this sacrifice. It is the job given to the watchers of these woods, the protectors of the Tolman Road."
I know about ancient lines, blood, and I guess otherwise, and I carry some of my own. One wonders.
Yeah, he actually looks quite interested when you say that. And he sort of leans in a bit as though he's like,
Yeah, you ready to get chopped? Is there a way to... Because I don't have what you call a good understanding of who I am. Is there a way to examine the blood? To see things in it, make it speak the secrets that it carries.
There are many secrets that the magic of the Tolman Road can reveal in one's blood, if that is your wish.
I would prefer to keep walking still afterwards. But aside from that, quite interested.
He nods and says, and he actually turns the knife round and offers it to you
Yeah.
at the handle first, and he says, for a small reading, the amount of blood is small. You seek small answers, you may require a small amount of blood and the power of the Tolman Road. And he sort of offers the knife to you.
I look at the ground. It's like, here?
He nods.
Yeah. I'll I'll look back at my friend, and I'll say, "It's fine," and then I'll cut my palm, like make a good sized cut, and then I'll like pump it to like get more than like a couple of drops out. So this is like sprinkle it on the ground because I don't know how this thing works, and he didn't give me any indication of like where should I put it on the stones or.
You sprinkle your blood in like a small patch, just a crimson patch on the ground, and he holds his hand out for the knife.
Yeah, I'll give it back to him.
He takes the knife off you, and he crouches down next to the blood and places his hand about an inch or so above it, and he starts to chant under his breath. And as he does so, a sort of vague green luminescence begins to pulsate from the blood. As you watch, almost like a sort of stop motion nature photography, what appears to be a small tree grows up before your very eyes out of the patch of blood. A sort of dark wooded tree that the branches spread out as you watch, and dark green leaves unfurl themselves as though you're watching something that would take a span of years, but it's happening before your very eyes in mere seconds. As the tree finishes growing, the drone completes his chanting, and then he reaches up and he snaps one of the branches off the tree, and he looks down at it, says something to his companion and nods. Then he holds it out towards you and he says, "This branch is you. You see," and as he holds out, you see this branch is entirely hollow.
Mm-hmm.
The branch is hollow as you are hollow.
Is it hollow enough so that it's like just paper? Like, could you just crush it with the hand? I'll take it, and I'll just say to him, like, "Is there anything more?"
Something has been, and he looks at you as though he's like scrutinizing you, and he says, "Something has been taken from you, so that you are no longer whole. You are like this tree. You are a shell."
Okay, and I will take the hollowed out branch, and I'll just like start walking back towards where we made our camp, and I'll just say like, just kill her. I don't care.
As you start walking, he like puts a hand on you, and he says, he says that you may think this means a weakness, but it can also be a strength. What you are now is a shell, and you have the choice of how to fill that shell. Most people do not have an opportunity to remake themselves to be whatever they wish to be.
Yeah, that's probably like way too much for Jackdaw, because he's not had like a lot of like good things at all in his life, as far as he remembers anyway. So that hastens his retreat if the drone like lets him go. He's going to listen to that and like tell the lieutenant and Big Mick that was like, I don't care about the woman, and like he hurries the fuck away into the camp because he cannot handle this.
Okay. As this is going on, Lieutenant, looking past Jackdaw, you can see that the second of these drones, who hasn't yet spoken English, he appears to be talking to the first in this strange sort of sing-song language they have. And as he talks, occasionally he keeps sort of like nodding in like mixed direction, and you see him sort of go like that a couple of times At which point the one who spoke to Jack does sort of like nods and says a few words back in the same language.
I shall look over it. Mick, does he look different in any way?
No?
Or is it just he's still as fat as he always was?
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah, they're just talking like, he's a bit thick, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll turn to the girl.
Yeah, she's still fastened to this this dolman. Her eyes are sort of wide and staring. She's still got her neck held back like that, as though she was ready to receive the knife blow.
I've seen many strange things over the last months. I shall hold the shoulders, put my cheek to hers, and just whisper, if this proves to be false, I shall avenge you.
Okay, can you please make me a constitution roll?
Ooh. Constitution. Yes. This is primary as well. Okay.
Okay, so as you put your cheek against hers, where she's like daubed with this weird sort of like fluorescent paint all over her face, you feel like a vague sort of tingling on your skin, as like this strange sort of like sticky like resin almost that's covering her face, sort of like something comes off on your skin, and for a few moments you feel a bit sort of like a little bit spaced out, but you manage to like shrug it off and focus on what's going on. But for you know those moments when you're sitting or you're lying in bed and you think you're falling and you sort of go like that, and then you realise you're not. You sort of get that where you sort of take half a step backwards and say you're like, oh, but then you're like, no, get it together. Whilst this is going on, Mick, obviously you've been looking around, and the sort of earthen burial mound, this like tomb that's beyond the stone circle, seems very familiar to you. And you recall you remember seeing it and entering it in one of your dreams.
Yeah, that's a bit weird. Can I yeah, these two freaky guys are making me feel a little bit uneasy, so I've distancing myself away while they have their cosy little chat, and yeah, I'll have a little bit of a mooch around and see if there's like an entrance or.
Okay, yeah. So you head up to this stone mound that's it's about 10 yards beyond this stone circle. The mound itself is about 20 feet in diameter, and you can see that there is what appears to be a large doorway made out of like loose like granite slabs that have been placed over each other. It's covered in lichen and overgrown with what appears to be wild roses, and as you sort of move close to it you can see like a few sort of like buds, which again a bit strange because like, it's winter, but winter doesn't really seem to have a purchase here. And as you sort of get closer you can actually smell the like sweet fragrance of these wild roses.
Is the weather milder as well and all that?
Yeah, I mean the weather. I mean you've just come from the Havenlands where it's winter. You've sailed across the freezing seas, but it's actually almost pleasantly sort of balmy in here. You know, you probably had to like take off some of like your sort of like your winter weather gear because you'll have been like hot as you're moving about. And you've certainly noticed as you sort of left the sort of coast and you moved into this forest that the weather appeared to get much more, much calmer, much more. I suppose sort of it feels more like a sort of late spring in here than like a deep winter.
I'll have a little glance around, make sure there's none of these wolves getting any closer or killer woodpeckers or anything like that.
You have a look around, and despite the fact you can hear lots of animals, you don't see any sort of in the immediate vicinity.
Yeah, I reckon old Mick's a bit jumpy about stuff like that, coming from the city and everything. He don't get out into the sticks. He's probably a little bit jumpy about wildlife and that.
As Big Mick continues to investigate the burial mound, the Droon holding the silver knife steps towards the lieutenant, pointing in the direction of Big Mick and says, "Ah, his blood leads him to that place."
I have no idea what you're talking about.
He points at like with the knife. He points towards that being Mick, and he says, "His blood, that place, it calls to him. I can feel it."
Whatever you say. This is beyond me. I have to. We're in your lands.
He laughs somewhat good-naturedly and he says, "These are not our lands, not in the way that you mean. Myself, my brother here," and he gestures at his fellow. He says, "We are, like others, we are only here for a short time where the Tolman Wood will endure for many spans of days. We are honoured to serve the land while we are here, and it is our hope that when our bodies pass on, as all things must, that our essences will remain here."
Okay. Well,
Is that not right, Dolman Brace? At which point the second one nods.
Well, I apologise for my friend. Not the arrow still protruding from his wherever it was his chest.
He nods and he just sort of snaps it off and drops it to the ground.
Big arrow sticking out of his butt.
He takes the arrow out of his side and he smiles and says, "It is no matter. Like all things, it is temporary." And he sinks the arrow into the ground, and again he whispers some words over it. And as he does, small branches sprout out of the arrow, and it slowly transforms into a small shrub.
Yeah, we don't want to mess with this dude.
Yeah, you keep showing us how powerful you are.
He says, "This is not my power. This is the power of the Tolman Woad working through me."
Okay.
Will you allow us to complete our ceremony? Our time is but short.
Allow? Yes, I have promised the girl that if you prove to be false in this, that I will avenge you.
I do not understand. What do you mean by false?
I'll turn. When I touched her cheek, I felt something like I've sensed previously. My mind was dulled.
We are not cruel. This beautiful creature gives her blood willingly, but we do not wish her to have pain. And he sort of gestures his face, so he doesn't know the word for it. On her face, the blue. It will ensure that when her blood is given, which is necessary, there will be no pain to her, and that there will be no sadness in her essence as it passes into the Tolman Road.
Okay, let's stop talking. This is all too much for the lieutenant. He just waves his hand dismissively, turns and Meg, time to go. I shall follow on after Jack. Shaking my head sadly one last time as I look at the woman.
Okay.
All right, yeah, but there's a door here. There's a door. There's a door in, Lieutenant. The door in.
Okay.
Oh well.
So the lieutenant walks back off down the path. You're just about to follow him, Mick, when you hear a whispered voice that sounds like the voice of Martha from your childhood, coming from somewhere inside the burial mound. My God. My God. and there's a as this drone slits the throat of the young woman. Her blood gushes onto the ground, and it seems to almost instantly like soak into the soil, and even the bits that splatter on the stone behind her seem to like seep into the stone somehow. Then,
I reckon,
as she sort of judders a bit, but there's like, all through there's like this strange sort of peaceful smile on her face, so she doesn't feel any pain from the cut or anything like that. And gradually she sort of slowly falls to her knees, at which point the two drones walk over, they untie her, and they lower her gently to the ground, and you see like her blood carrying on soaking into the ground and like being soaked into the soil. They stand there and they begin to chant sort of quietly.
With the ceremony completed, the drone who was holding the golden torque places it around the neck of the sacrificial victim. He then walks over to where Big Mick is crouched down by the burial mound and says,
"Was it your mother or your father?"
mother or father, what?
Was it your mother or your father who was from here?
What are you on about from here? I ain't from here. I'm from London, innit?
It looks like you blankly when you're like London. He's like,
Over the water. London, innit? Don't tell me you ain't heard of London. What's up with you? It's the biggest place around here, innit?
he sort of looks around at like the giant forest you're in and smiles as you say.
No. That's just the woods. I'm talking about back in the smoke, back in the town, back in London, Great London, you know?
He sits down next to you, sort of crouches down next to you, and he says, "A long time ago, there was an endless winter that gripped the Tolman Woad. A winter commanded by a beautiful and terrible creature. Many of those who lived in the Tolman Woad, my order, even the warriors of the new god, fought to contain this creature and ensure that its winter was banished from the Tolman Woad, never to return. Those who fought bravely and who died within the boundaries of the Tolman Woad are buried and are honoured in places such as this. From those alliances there were children born, many with the blood of the Tolman Woad inside them. As the years pass, many of them feel the calling in their blood to return here. It speaks to them in their daily lives, their dreams. It calls them back here."
How do you mean speaks to them?
The blood does not speak in the way I am speaking to you now. It is a part of you. It speaks to you in the ways you talk to yourself. The way somehow you can know things without knowing them. That is the call of the blood. You have seen, and he gestures back to the still sort of like the hollow tree that grew out of Jackdaw's blood, and he says, "You have seen how much power there is in blood. Does it surprise you that it can also speak to us?"
Well, I'd have to say there ain't a lot that's going to surprise me anymore. I've seen a few things recently. But between you, me, and the gatepost, what's not here? My little sister, she sees things and hears things more than me. Could she have this blood?
It is possible. I do not know your family, but the call of the blood is stronger in some and weaker in others.
Well, if they had their way, then back where I'm from, they'd burn my sister as a witch. Now, you don't say nothing, otherwise me and you are going to fall out.
Who am I going to tell here?
Well, nobody, because we just agreed.
And you say that your sister's blood is stronger, and yet you are the one who has made the journey back here.
Yeah, well, I'm her big brother, ain't I? She ain't going to come here, is she? She's only little. That's my job, to look after her. I don't know how it's brought me here, but if what you're saying is true, and like this dirt pile is talking to me now as well, seems like I've got some business here. So
he says, perhaps the blood speaks to us in many strange ways, but that is something you will have to understand for yourself. Alas, the time of myself and Hathion, and he gestures back at the other Druid, the one who was holding the knife, is now done here. We have other work. And he sort of places his hand up very gently on your chest, and he says, "But if you ever should doubt the rightness of your cause, listen to the blood." And then he nods, he turns, walks over to the other Druid. They both leave the body of this young woman sort of like at peace, lying at the bottom of this standing stone. They walk towards the edge of the woodland, and the trees almost seem to like part to let them walk through it, and then close over behind them, leaving you all alone.
I think I'll do that fast walk thing back to the camp, looking over my shoulder. I'll start off walking quite slow, and then I'll just get quicker and quicker, chatting to myself.
Okay, so we're going to, as you're walking back, Jackdaw's pretty much already back at the camp. We're going to cut to the lieutenant, who is sort of like halfway between you. Lieutenant, as you're walking along, you hear like a and you're surprised when, as you look down to your left, what appears to be a small wooden trapdoor in the ground that you're pretty sure wasn't there a minute ago because you walked this way, opens up.
Okay.
And you
But
can hear...
this place ain't weird at all, is it?
No.
Can you please roll me a D4, please, Lieutenant?
There it goes.
Okay, so this trapdoor opens and you see three sort of diminutive green figures wearing ragged clothes with like warty faces and long ears. One of them at the front carrying a lantern climb out of this trapdoor, and you see that this green like goblinoid head poke out with this lantern, sort of looking around, and he sort of cautiously looks around. He's like, yeah, I think it's all good. Come on. And like two more climb out from behind him. You can see the two behind him appear to be carrying like sticks, like long sticks. They don't seem to have spotted you yet.
Good evening, I'll say.
He looks around and he's like, "Oh, sorry, didn't realise there was anyone else here. Don't mind us, we'll leave you to it." And he's like, "Right, come on, boys, back in." And they start like heading back towards the trap.
Just a second.
Yeah.
Where are you from?
In there. And he jerks at them at the trapdoor.
Is that like your home?
Yeah. Well, no, obviously not, but you know, that's a doorway from where we come from to where we are now. So our doorway's working here.
Is it a magical doorway?
He's like, let me get this straight, Squire. What you're asking us is if a trapdoor that's just like appeared in a forest is a magical door. That's what you're asking me.
It's been a long night. Yes.
He says, well, I'm not saying it is, and I'm not saying it isn't, but it does the job, doesn't it? He says, anyway, I ain't got time to be stood around here talking with the likes of you. We've got to get to the picking.
The what?
Picking.
Yeah, you'll have to elaborate.
He's like, look, me and the boys, we've only got like a limited amount of time here before someone notices we're missing. So we come over here because there's some like fruits and whatnot around here that we can't get where we're from. So we quickly nip out while no one's the wiser, get these big sticks, knock them down off the tree, in the sack, back we go, everyone's happy.
And that takes you back to Greater London?
What?
No?
What are you about?
Okay. Have fun, I'll say. Just turn away.
As you turn away, you hear me on it. Right, come on. Got to get some more for the princess's table. You know what she's like. All them guests and whatnot. He's like, yeah, how many more years are we going to have to keep doing this, boss? He's like, yeah, never you mind that. Old Griddle Grim will be moaning about it if we don't get the fruits back. Come on, get out there, get some fruits picked and we can get back. Get our feet up. Yeah, all right then.
I shall mentally log the name Griddle Grim.
This strange goblinoid creature slams the trapdoor, and as the trapdoor shuts, it disappears. And the three of them sort of start heading off into the forest with these sticks. Obviously, Mick, you sort of caught up with the lieutenant now, and you've sort of seen this going on as you're approaching.
Hey, Lieutenant, what's going on here then?
Me. This place is fucked, and that's probably the first time we've heard him swear.
As Big
Me,
Mick
you
approaches,
feeling all right, Lieutenant?
one of the goblins sees him and he's like, "Oh fuck! It's a troll!"
Hey! Who you calling a troll, snot rag?
He sort of peers at you a bit and he's like, "Oh, sorry, Squire. I thought you was a troll like old Grimgridge."
Who's Grimgridge? He ain't round here, is
Well,
he?
he's a troll, isn't he?
He ain't nowhere round here, is he, with these here wolves?
No, he's at the princess's place.
Princess?
Get him out of there, will you?
What princess?
He goes, oh, well, the wedding and all that, which point the goblin's like, yeah, shut up, you. We ain't here to, like, chat around with, like, big and tall here.
Wedding?
He's like, yeah. So what boat did you fall off?
Oh, long story. That, down the road, place Brackenwold. We come from over the water. We did fall off a boat,
right.
as it goes.
He's like, look, the princess is having a wedding. She wants some nice food for her table. And we're the food patrol. So we're going out, we're going to get some, we're going to take it back. They're going to eat it, they're going to send us out again. It's been going on for fucking years. He's like, to be honest, he like picks his nose. He's like, to be honest, a bit sick of it.
Same wedding.
Yeah, well, I suppose technically it's not a wedding because they ain't got married. What do you call it? They had like a little thing like before a wedding. One of them was like wedding breakfast. Is that?
Oh, breakfast. Now you're talking.
He's like, here, give us some of that hooch you bought with you. Like, pass him like a sort of grimy bottle over, and he takes a big swig out of it and passes it back to the other goblin. He's like, that scratches his nuts, and he's like, yeah, so we're gonna go out and get some fruits and take them back, and then hopefully we can get our feet up before they decide they need to send us out again.
What do you make of this, Lieutenant?
Obviously, while this is going on, Jackdaw, you can hear this conversation if you do want to get involved with it.
think for like he's listening in, but he's doing that thing where you stare into the flames
Yeah.
a little bit too long.
Where does that lead then?
What?
Where is the princess situated in the world in general?
What, in this world?
Yeah.
Oh, shame.
Any? I don't know.
Look, she's in a fucking tower, in a clearing. There's snow fucking everywhere. It's freezing cold, and she can't. I don't know what the story is. She can't leave there. And the other guy in the back said, "Yeah, she's like waiting for a fella to come along or something." Yeah, she's waiting for a fella to come along so they can get married. Big whoop, big celebration. Everyone's happy, and then hopefully once that's fucking dealt with, we can go home.
You've been on the mushrooms, mate. You've been on the mushrooms of yours.
I wish.
There ain't no snow, is there? Look, it's like spring.
Not here, there isn't. Of course, you can't have winter here. It's been banished.
Well, you're here, ain't you? Fuck's sake, what?
Oh yeah, of course I am.
Well, you got a long walk, ain't you, then? You got some long walk you're going to get this through. It's going to be mouldy as arseholes, isn't it, when you get back where there's some snow? I mean, I don't know where there's some snow now.
He's like, nah, we'll just pop through the door, back as you want, quick as you like.
There's a door around here somewhere.
Oh, I don't see no bleeding door. Bloody sure as well.
He goes, well,
If there was a door, I'd see it. Wouldn't I? It'd be here. Wouldn't it be a door? Like like a door.
Wow, it's a goblin door. You can't use it, can you? And then he like stops as he sort of looks at Mick and he's like, well, you might.
What are you trying to say? You trying to say what? You trying to say I'm ugly or what? You trying to say I'm like a goblin? Look at the size of me. Look at the size of you.
Hey.
I ain't no goblin.
All I'm saying is we can smell our own.
Lieutenant, tell him I ain't no fucking goblin. What's up with this fool? Am I going to have to give him a slap or what?
He's not a goblin. You don't have to give him a slap, Mick.
Give me out. You feel the back of my hand.
When you're ready to go back, would you give us a holler?
It's off his face. It's off his
I'd like
face,
to go with
Lieutenant.
you.
He's been on the mushrooms.
He says, look, I'm not saying that I wouldn't be willing. What I'm saying is you can't. It's a goblin door. And he says it as though he's like trying to explain to it to a child. He's like, it's a goblin door.
Yeah.
I am a goblin.
Yeah.
That thick fat behind me is a goblin. That lad there's a goblin. That scrawny one. You ain't a goblin.
So what will
Goblin?
happen if I
Goblin
try to
door.
get...
He's like, look, I'll tell you what, I can see you've made your mind up. Let me show you. And he reaches down to the ground and he just sort of like grabs hold of what looks like grass to you. And as he does, a small patch of it turns into like a wooden trapdoor and he opens it up. He's like, tell you what, he's like, he points to like the slightly dozy sounding one. He's like, you pop back down through there. And he's like, yeah, all right then. Jumps down through the trapdoor and like disappears into like the darkness. And he's like, go on then, big and tall, you give it a go.
I'll give it a go.
Can you see in there? Can you see in? Like,
You can just see like a patch, like a sort of rectangle of darkness. You jump onto the darkness and it just feels like you're standing on a patch of grass. You're just like stood on the patch of darkness. He's like, told you.
You told me. Well, happy hunting. I'm going to bed.
Right up. Is that right? Get him out of there. And he like sticks out. Come on, get back out of there. We've got some fruit pick here. Oh yeah, hold on a second. And this like thick-looking goblin climbs out of the trapdoor. And they all look like a little bit inebriated, to be honest, as they're sort of swaying about a bit. And he shuts the door again. It disappears as soon as he shut it. And the three of them start wandering off into the forest. So like tapping on trees with these sticks, like looking for fruit.
Well, I've seen it all now. Seen it all now. Goblins crawling out of the grass.
The heroes return to camp and bedded down for the evening. The next morning they get up early and head towards the burial mound, intending to discover whatever secrets it might contain. The stone slab on the doorway proves a little challenging, but with much grunting and swearing, and with the aid of Big Mick's crowbar, they're able to prise the large stone free, it falling to the ground with a crash. and they can see a dark corridor beyond it descending into the earthen mound. As you light one of these lanterns and you sort of shine it around, you can see, as you sort of look on the floor, you can actually see that it's actually very roughly carved, sort of like stairs that have been carved out of the stone heading downwards, and there's a lot of scratches on the stairs, like into the earth and the stone, as though something very heavy was dragged up the stairs. But they're quite old scratches, they're not recent, so whatever was dragged up here, it looks like it was a long time ago.
Alright.
With the passageway open before them, Big Mick takes the lead. So you make your way down this corridor, and after 20 feet, it opens up into a small square stone chamber that's about 15 feet by 15 feet. There is a passageway heading off to the east and west, and what appears to be a door directly in front of you in the northern wall. It's quite sort of musty and dank down here, and there's the sort of dampness clinging to the stones of the walls and the ceiling. As you shine your light around you, as poking your head in through the door, you see in each of the four corners of the room is what appears to be a small plinth. They're mouldy, they're covered in sort of thick fuzz of a sort of yellowish mould, and on each of the plinths, partly shrouded by this mould, is what appears to be a small item. One of them has what looks to be like a silver crucifix, one has a small wooden statue of a cherub, the other has some sort of mouldy covered book, and the other has a large candle. And, like I said,
And there was 3 exits.
Yeah, there's east and west, there's a passageway, and then directly in front of you on the northern wall there is like a set of double doors, that heavy stone double doors. You can, as you're sort of shining the light in Mick, so you're at the front, you can just about make out, I mean, you've not entered this room fully yet, you're at the doorway. As you shine the light and sort of holding it in, you can just about make out on the double stone doorway ahead of you, there's what looks to be some sort of inscription on it, but you can't see it without getting closer.
I'll wander over there with a light and have a closer look.
Okay. As you enter the chamber, the 4 objects that are on the plinth sort of levitate up into the air, and a shrill, sanctimonious voice says, "How dare you enter the tomb of the most dear? Begone, disbeliever! Begone!" And this candle, like this, it's one of those massive, like church candles, whizzes past your head. It's like a hair's breadth away from your nose. You feel the air displaces it, like, whew, and you briefly have a flashback to getting attacked by books in the library.
Yeah. I like duck down into a crouch and run back to the stairs.
Okay, you start
Bobbing
running back
and
towards
weaving,
the stairway.
yeah.
As you're running, you're kicking up like the thick layer of dust that's on the floor of this chamber, and as you're sort of ducking down and you're like weaving, and these objects are flying around. As you disturb some of the dust with your feet, you can just about make out what appears to be faded paint on the floor below the dust. But obviously, you don't really have time to look at it, and you run back to the stair. Perhaps there's some sort of like mosaic or like a painting on the floor, but it's obviously covered in this thick layer of dust. As soon as you like leave the room, these items drop back onto the nearest plinth, and the voice stops.
What'd you make of that, fellas? There's some sort of magic going on.
Oh, you don't say. Well, I am not a believer in Gale.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Well, I ain't sure that's polite conversation to be talking to a bloke about his religion and his politics.
Fair enough.
I think I'll be keeping that to myself, Lieutenant.
You're really
Good.
drawing an interesting line here, given all the givens. Just wanted to say that, Big Mike.
He's an interesting fella.
It's got
I
layers.
like to be interesting. That's what the women say. They like an interesting fella like old Big Mick.
Yeah, let's see if we can scrounge up an old lady for you here
Wait,
while we're in the tomb.
what are you trying to say? I thought that's more your kind of cup of tea.
Can I borrow the lantern?
Yeah, be my guest. I didn't want to hold it anyway.
I'll take it and step into the.
Watch out for that candle. Nearly had me eye out.
Yeah. It's all fun and games.
Okay, you step into the room. Nothing happens.
That's all raise an eyebrow, Mick.
Yeah, well, see, I cleared it for you.
Thank you. So, you're heading towards the double doors. Say something on the double doors.
Yeah, there's some writing on the double doors. Go and have a look.
Right.
I can't read anyway.
Okay, you carry the lantern over to the double stone doors, Lieutenant, and as you sort of shine the light on it, you see the inscription that says "The Most Dear."
Most
And you
dear.
see there are streaks of damp clinging to the stone.
The most dear. That's as in dear of the heart, not dear.
Or pricey.
And yeah, very good.
Is this?
I love the fact someone like sculpted this tomb and they were like, "Fucking hell, this was pricey. I'm gonna fucking write that down." Yeah, how much does tomb cost me?
I cannot afford all the pickaxes I need.
I haven't got a receipt, but I can chisel onto a door.
Man.
Yeah. Which like cardinal direction door is this on? Or did I
This
completely
is
plot?
the double doors on the north wall, so directly ahead of you.
And yeah, Lieutenant, let us shine the light here towards, because there was like all the 4 exits, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let us see what's on the eastern door.
It's just an open passageway, isn't it? Just shine it in.
Yeah.
Well, there might be something.
You shine it down the passageway. The passageway continues for about 10 feet to the east, and then appears to terminate in a small round chamber, roughly similar size to the one you're in. You can see that on one of the walls of this chamber is what appears to be a large mirror.
Because you see, if we're talking folks who enjoy growing things, I mostly know about the mushroom part, but the other stuff that grows, sun. Given that they really enjoy their forest, the sun is probably a big thing. Comes from the east, which is why I think there might be something important over here.
As Jackdaw's saying that, you're shining the light around, like looking into this chamber, Lieutenant. You can also see in front of the mirror is what appears to be like a stone plinth, like you might have a statue on it. There is no statue on top, it's just the plinth, but you can see like heavy scratch marks as though something was dragged from the plinth into the chamber that you're currently in, but then the scratch marks are obviously covered by the thick dust on the floor of this room.
So this probably been pondered.
I shall crouch down and slowly, methodically scrape away the dust from the floor.
Okay, you scrape away the dust on the floor of the stone chamber you're in, and eventually it reveals a faded mosaic on the floor of this chamber. It appears to depict a sort of brave and heroic looking man sitting atop a white steed. He is holding a sword out in front of him, and his sword has pierced the heart of his enemy, also depicted, who appears to be this tall, willowy, graceful figure wearing this strange, sort of fanciful armour, and the sword is directly through the heart of this antagonist. There's an inscription in a language that you're not familiar with at the bottom of it. And as you've cleared away the dust as well, you can see it looks as though something heavy was definitely dragged from that round chamber into here. But like I said, the scratches are old.
And then up the stairs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, that obviously happened a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, someone stole something, a heavy statue from out of that room. As you can see, dragged it up the stairs past you. I'll go to the west wall and have a look.
Okay, you head to the west, and it appears to be very a sort of mirror image of the chamber you've been in, like a 10-foot corridor with another round chamber. This one, however, in place of where the mirror is in the eastern chamber, there is what appears to be a large white marble statue depicting a beautiful looking woman with long flowing hair and robes. There's a star on her brow. The statue is posed facing towards the staircase with a strip of cloth around her eyes and her fingers raised to her lips. A black cloth is also wrapped around the statue's head, and it's on a round plinth that appears to be made of marble.
Have you gone in there yet, Jackdaw? Or was you just...
Probably close enough to look at the stuff that...
I was going to say, at the minute, we've got Big Mick and Jackdaw sort of in the entry corridor, like not gone into the square room, and we've got the lieutenant sort of looking around.
Yeah. Oh, we're calling out everything I see.
Yep. As you shine the light around, you can see that in this chamber there's another passageway going to the north out of here, as well as the one to the east that you're coming in from. And there also appears to be a small stairway heading down in the northeastern wall. Unlike the sort of crude stone staircase that you entered by, though, these staircases may be made of finely cut stone, and they're entirely free of dust. As you shine the lantern around, sort of leaning in to get a better look, you can see that the actual entranceway to this flight of stairs going down is stone, but it's carved into the likeness of interwoven trees.
All right, I think this is probably significant. Also, probably a draft or a way for water to get in. And I presume, John, that there's no like evidence of like massive periodic flooding here. Yeah. There's probably the draft then, because you see, there's no. It's cleaner, is what I'm saying. Do we want to explore this or the other branches first? I feel like going down is probably the way towards whatever treasures this earth has.
Well, I'm just following you guys.
So try stepping in this room again.
Okay, so what's the plan, guys?
Well, where do you want to go, Lieutenant? You lead the way. You got the light. I'll follow you, but I'm gonna have to dash through this room, or I'm gonna cop for it from that candle. It's got it in for me.
Alright. The cloth that's around the eyes of the statue, it's actually cloth
Yes, it appears
rather
to be.
than carved cloth.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. I shall lift it slightly.
That's absolutely fine. You lift the black cloth blindfold off the statue. Nothing untoward happens as you do so, but as you look at the cloth, you can see that on the inside of it, it's embroidered with multiple golden crucifixes on the inside.
I don't know whether this is part of the decorations or not. I'll put it back.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. You place it back on the statue. Now you're in this room, and obviously you're looking around and sort of shining your light around. You can see that the passageway to the north, out of here, appears to continue for about 10 feet and then go into like an oblong stone chamber. And you can just about make out what appear to be the decaying remnants of seats or perhaps pews of some kind in there. Sort of wooden decaying pews like you might find in a church.
I'm going to quickly dash across to the room where the lieutenant's in, because he's got the light and I'm standing here in the dark and it's starting to freak me out.
Okay, so you dash into the small square room, and as you do, this voice goes, "How dare you desecrate the tomb of Sir Child, the magnificent Begone, evildoer!" And all these objects rise up into the air. Can you make me a dex roll, please?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you can add your level to it.
Mm-hmm.
No problem. So these objects fly towards you, obviously planning to like collide with you, but you duck round them and you scoot into the round chamber to the west, and you sort of slide to a stop next to the lieutenant. As soon as you leave the small square chamber, the items float back onto their plinths and the voice stops haranguing you.
I'll stand there with a fairly smug expression on my face.
Well done.
That's how you do it. Piece of cake.
Jack, are you joining us?
Yes. And I do.
Okay, so are you like scarpering like Mick, or are you just like...
I don't really know what to make of all this. I guess I'm emulating Mick.
Okay, so obviously makes up a dex roll. As you run into the room, again these things float up and this voice goes, "How dare you desecrate the tomb of Sir Chide, slayer of Frost, defender of the king, begone!" And these objects zoom towards you.
Mm-hmm.
Slayer of Frost, did she say? Or it say?
That's what the voice said, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, boy.
Okay, yeah, so one of the sort of candle like smashes into the wall. You just like duck down and do one of those sort of like Assassin's Creed like slides on one knee into the chamber next to the lieutenant and Big Mick. As soon as you leave the room, the various bits and pieces float back to their plinths and the voice stops.
That's interesting.
So to re-describe the room, you're in this small sort of round room. It's like 15 by 15. There's the passageway you've just come from is in the eastern wall. There's a passageway to the north where you can see this other chamber with these decayed like wooden sort of seats, like a church. And there's also in the northeast there is this archway, stone archway carved to resemble interlocking trees with dust-free stone stairs heading down.
You know that painting on the floor in the first room?
Yep.
Was that that willowy figure that the dude on the horse was striking? Did that look frost-like, wintry?
You know, you didn't really have like sufficient time to have a look at it because obviously you just
right.
sort of like scarpered through. All you really can get from the lieutenant is that it was this willowy, graceful-looking figure wearing like strange, fanciful sort of armour,
Right.
and it had this guy's sword through its chest.
Mm.
I mean, obviously, you could go back and have a look at it if you wanted to.
Not so much.
Okay, the only other thing in this chamber, as I've said, is the statue of the beautiful woman carved out of marble. The black cloth blindfold has been replaced by the lieutenant.
Where was she looking? She was looking at the stairs.
She's looking towards the stairs, not the stairs that you came in through, the ones that are heading down.
No, they're going downwards
And
ones.
she's like this.
And she's blindfolded.
Yeah.
So she can't look at the stairs. Is there any writing around the plinth? This round?
Not that you can see. It's just a marble plinth. It's about 3 foot across, 1 foot high.
And she's got a finger to her lips, like shush.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else on the walls or anything like that.
Not as far as you can see. There's the stone archway, the stairs going down, and there's the statue. However, as you're sort of shining the light to get a better look at the stairs, down at the bottom of the stairs, you can see dancing in the light, sort of shimmering reflections, as though perhaps there's water down there.
Oh, right. Okay. Wait, there's some water down here, chaps. Well, it looks like water or something. Seems a bit odd.
Perhaps it's a way in or out. Underground canal.
Do we want to have a butcher's?
Might as well.
Or did you want to go somewhere else?
Well, we can have a look down there and maybe ensure that nothing's going to sneak up behind us from that direction.
Okay, so are you guys heading down the stairs towards the watery chamber?
I think so. That seems to be the consensus.
Okay, you make your way down. As you're doing so, you can see a large circular chamber at the bottom. There is what appears to be a pool of water. In the centre of it is a statue of a maiden made of white marble with long flowing hair and a robe. She has a star on her brow, rather like the statue you've seen previously. As you're sort of getting to the bottom of the stairs, you can see that at the bottom of the stairs are what appears to be roughly a dozen candles, all lit, and they appear to be floating in midair. They almost appear to be forming like a sort of archway made out of these floating candles at the bottom of the stairs.
Are we in the room?
No, you're just on the stairs at the moment.
Right. Them candles ain't twitching or anything
No,
like that.
they just appear to be forming like an archway at the very bottom of the stairs.
Okay.
Yeah, like regular candles.
Except they're floating in midair, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're still alight.
Yeah. But apart from that, they're perfectly normal.
Are they dripping wax or anything, or are they just
They don't appear to be.
Nope. Nothing to see
Although
here
they do
then.
appear to be like lit, like you can actually see a flame, but it doesn't appear to be consuming the candles.
No. Can we see if there's anything in the pool from here? Can we see any?
The pool appears to fill the entirety of the chamber,
Oh,
and
okay.
as you're sort of like getting near to the bottom, as you look across, you can just about make out there's another stairway coming down into this room, which you assume must be from the other round chamber across the way, and that also has an arch of candles at the bottom of it. The only other thing in the room, though, appears to be the statue of the maiden in the centre of the pool.
Does she look like the same woman that's in the one above, or different?
It looks the same, yeah.
Is she looking up towards the other one?
No, she just appears to be seated on this plinth in the centre. Like I said, this star on her brow, long hair cascading down. And now you can see her without any sort of blindfold on. And you can see her in the light of these sort of phantom floating candles. You recognise the woman from your dream, Mick.
Did she have a star on her head before?
Not in the dreams, no. But the sort of long flowing hair and the beauty of her face is unmistakable.
Fellas, I think this is the woman we're looking for.
Try talking to her.
She's a statue, Lieutenant. Hello, hello, statue
Damn it, Lieutenant, I'm a
lady.
thief, not a stonemason.
Hello, statue lady. Can you hear me?
Okay, so you move a bit closer to obviously try and address the statue, feeling a little bit ridiculous as you're doing so. There's no response from the statue. However, as you get nearer to these candles that make this archway that are floating in the air, you start to feel this this sense of, I suppose the only way I could really describe it is like religious awe. Like, it almost feels as though like you feel like the sun shining on your face. Everything feels right with the world. Now,
Well, that's all right.
you might not call it religious awe because you're not a particularly religious character, but you know, you feel sort of like a sense of tremendous like inner peace as you're getting closer to these candles.
I'll probably just get a bit closer then.
Okay. How close you getting?
Just whilst it feels nicer, I'll get closer.
Yeah.
And if that
Literally,
changes,
as you keep getting closer to them, this sense of inner peace and tranquility gets stronger and stronger. To Jackdaw and the lieutenant, you see as Mick gets closer to it, like this dreamy sort of look comes over his face, and he gets
I'll stretch out my arms like I'm in the sun.
Yeah, he gets like a big like shit-eating like grin on his face as though he's like the happiest he's been for ages, and like the smile's getting bigger like the nearer he gets to this like archway of floating candles.
I'll do like a big old stretch out. Now you're talking. I'll stand there in front of the candle, soaking in the
you're literally
vibe.
right in front of them now, and this feeling's like tremendously strong. It's like you're not sure because you've never done it, but you imagine like if you were stood in the presence of like Gale himself, this is probably how it would feel.
Yeah, I'll just stand there and soak that up for a bit then.
Yeah. Okay, Jackdaw and Lieutenant Uffington. While Mick's having his like religious epiphany, what do you guys do?
Sit down, take a seat on the steps, and just watch him.
Okay.
Mick.
Yep.
You're almost feeling like a bit sort of like drunk with happiness, like Mick, as you're sort of like here. It's like you've not been drinking, but you know sometimes people say like, oh, you can be like just drunk on the atmosphere of a place.
Yeah.
You're starting to feel a bit like that.
Endorphins.
Yeah.
What's going on, Mick?
Wow, it's getting this. It's real nice over here. It's all warm.
And if you're moving closer, Jackdaw, you will also start to feel this effect.
I think these are magic candles. Candles of jolliness. I could do with some of these in my house. My old man would like these.
A candle man.
Yeah, the old man when he's got the hump, he could stand in front of these candles and everything would be right with the world.
Yeah, I don't really like approach too close, and
Yeah, you had the arsehole. You want to come and stand here? Come and stand here. You'll be much better. Put all that hollowness out of your mind.
no, because I know that this is a bunch of candles, Mick. A bunch of candles.
Don't knock
Don't.
it till you tried it. That's what I say.
As you're having this conversation, so like Mick's turned to like face with this big smile on his face and he's like chatting away quite jollily. From the sort of the archway, although there's no one beyond it, you see what appears to be like a small warty green hand reach out of like thin air, just sort of like appearing out of the archway. It grabs hold of Mick and pulls him backwards. The instant he like goes through the archway, he disappears.
In front of me. It's in front. So it's kind of like, so where I've turned round.
Yeah. Like this
So
hand,
it's
the hand comes out the candle archway behind you, like grabs you and yoinks you through it. And the instant you pass through the archway, you disappear.
So I turn to the lieutenant and get out my bearded axe, and I raise an eyebrow.
I nod.
Yeah, I rear back and I jump in.
Follow him.
Okay, now we're going to cut to what happens to Big Mick, and I'll cue you guys in a moment. Okay, so Mick, you tumble through this archway, and as you do, the scenery appears to melt around you, and you find yourself in what appears to be this large forest glade with a tower in the centre of it. There is thick snow on the ground. It's quite cold here. The feeling of religious beneficence has faded away. And as you're pulled through and you sort of fall face forward into the snow, you see one of the warty green goblins from earlier is stood there. He's got like a big old like demijohn under one arm, and he's like, "All right, bollocks."
No, not you again.
And he says, "Oh, cheer up. Worse things happen at sea, probably." And he he answers like demijohn to you.
What's that then? I'll have a suspicious look at it.
You smell it. It's some sort of spirit, you think. And he's like, get that down, you put hairs on your eyeballs.
Yeah, I'll have a quick blast at that.
You have a swig of it. It tastes like wine. Really, really, really nice wine.
Oh, right.
And it gets you a little bit tipsy, but it's not like smashed, you know.
Oh, right.
And he's like, yeah, sorry. He's like, yeah, sorry about that. He's like, I heard you like talking on the other side of her, and he points, and you can see like the candles.
Oh, right.
Like as an archway, but beyond them you can just see like trees at the edge of this clearing. You can't see the tomb or anything like that. He's like, yeah, I heard you talking on the other side of the doorway, and I thought, well, he's never going to get around to coming through it, so I'd give you a bit of helping hand, didn't I?
All right. Yeah. Cheers, I think. So, this is that tower you were talking about then?
Yeah, she's in there.
And they're still having this breakfast?
Sit down, have yourself a drink.
All right. They're still having breakfast, Joe. I ain't missed breakfast.
Oh, no, you ain't going to miss that. They've been having breakfast for years. Years!
And my kind of breakfast.
At which point, Jackdaw and the lieutenant come barrelling through this, as I'm sure you've now realised, magical portal. Jackdaw with like his axe out, you stumble through into this sort of snowy winter scene, and you could see Big Mick and this goblin like sat there with his demijohn just like chatting and having a bit of a drink.
As you do.
As you burst through, Lieutenant, immediately the temperature drops. Your breath is coming out as a stream of vapour. The snow's like a couple of feet deep. You can see there's like lots of tracks. Obviously, you're taking in the scenario, as is Jackdaw, because you're trained and you hadn't had some of that sweet like Jesus juice like Big Mick. You can see there's lots of footprints heading to and from the tower. Some of them old, some of them new. There's snowflakes drifting gently down, and the sunshine is sparkling off. Giving everything a sort of almost like a sort of enchanted like forest vibe, you know, sparkling snow on the trees. As you look up ahead of you, you can see that there appears to be a frozen lake, and at the centre of it is a large white marble tower. Jackdaw and the lieutenant, as you sort of follow the tower up, above the tower you can see what appears to be a large purple crack in the sky, and occasionally what appears to be like purple like goo almost drips down from the crack and like stains the snow purple.
Lieutenant, I think we're off the map in a fundamental way.
As you're saying this and you're looking around, you see there are other paths leading off into the forest, and each of them has like an archway of these floating candles.
The sky's cracked. If it is a sky.
Colin, you're muted.
I'll nudge that goblin.
Is that what?
What's up with the sky? What's that dripping there?
He's like, wow, I don't claim to. Far as I understand it, he's like, those things, and he points at the candles, were made to keep her in there, and he points at the tower, but I think it's like it's broken or it's breaking or something like that. I don't really understand it, and I think that's where it's breaking.
Well, it does look a bit broke.
Yeah. So there's some weird noises come through it, like sometimes, but it doesn't seem to hurt nobody. But as you can see, like wherever that stuff falls, like makes the snow purple. Is I ain't going near it.
What does this princess look like?
Wow. Sure, right.
She got long hair.
Oh yeah. Long hair, colour of straw.
She got a star on her head.
Yeah, that's right.
So he told you. That's the woman out of my dreams. That's
Your dream woman.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yes, wow. I don't mean to break it to you harshly, fella, but I think she's fucking taken.
I ain't like that. Don't be funny. I mean, you know, I ain't silly.
Hey, I ain't judging you, mate. I ain't judging you. He has another slug out of his damage on.
Yeah, I'll swat. Yeah, I'll give some more of that.
Hey, plenty to go round.
All right.
Do you think you could introduce us to her? My goblin friend?
Says, nah, I'm not allowed in there. I'm just staffing it. I'm not allowed in with all the hoi polloi.
I don't fancy my chances much, I have to say. But you're virtually landed gentry, Lieutenant. You know.
I could perhaps get us in.
You got all the lingo and whatnot, all the chat, all the spiel. Give them a few long words and drop a few fancy names, and we'll slide in there for some breakfast. Stomach's rumbling, something awful.
I have some mushrooms left.
I don't know about them mushrooms.
Look at the sky. What do you think the mushroom is going to do?
Well, it's right enough. It couldn't get much worse, could it?
As you say that, the goblin goes there. Wow.
You said mushrooms.
He's like, yeah, he's literally one of his ears is like, bang. He's like, well, it just so happens. He's like, if you're a bit that way inclined, he's like, have a gander at this, and he like pulls around like a leather pouch on his belt, and he opens it up, and you can see it's like full to the brim with like mushrooms.
You know, he's a proper dealer because he's got a little bum bag there.
Yeah, he's got
he's literally like the only clothes he's wearing are like a leather belt with like this pouch on it.
And a shell suit.
And now it's strategically positioned like in the front with the mushrooms. You have quite the selection. How much do you want?
Yep, never gets empty.
Jack does like immediately just like, I could cut off your head. This little like thought bubble goes off like decapitation, and then yoink.
Target acquired.
He's like, wait, you can have one if you want. Just bear in mind they're a bit on the potent side, though.
Sorry, what was that?
He says, well, you can have one if you want. He says, but they're a bit on the potent side.
Potent side?
Yeah.
So are we...
You're not from around here, are you? So.
No, I don't think anyone's from here.
well, I am.
I'm pretty sure I ain't.
As you say that, the goblin's like...
Yeah, I take one. And I stash it instead of...
He's like, nah. So you got to eat them straight away.
Oh, the magic wilts them.
Yeah, when you take them out of the patch, you got to eat them straight away.
Yeah. How much for the pouch then?
Get rid of this.
Over my dead body.
Yeah. I'm not giving up my pouches, my only one. Okay. Well. Yeah, I guess I'll have it. I'll have the goblin pouch mushroom in this extra dimensional pocket dimension with purple goo.
Okay. Roll me a d12.
A 12 only. Which is why I know that we're not in the Metamorphica, at least not yet.
Yeah, because I've not been like, roll a d1 million.
Yeah. And I would have like a third spine by the end.
Okay, roll me a d6.
See, it's getting that way. It's just warming you up to it.
Yep.
Okay, so for the next 6 turns, you alternate weeping and hysterically laughing when you are spoken to.
Okay, so nothing happens until you speak to me. If you speak to
Okay.
me in the next 30 seconds.
Oh no, it's turns, not rounds.
Turns, okay, so half an hour then, I guess. Yeah, so but I say nothing because I'm waiting for the sky to turn
the
blue.
goblin's there, and he's looking at you. He's like,
Yeah, and I'm waiting for everything to turn normal, like the sun rises and the grass is green and the sky is blue.
either of you two gents wanna? He says,
Nah.
wiggling the pouch about.
I don't touch the stuff.
He says, why not? He says, I'm not sure about him, and he gestures at the lieutenant. He's like, you'll be all right there.
Nah, I don't touch the stuff. No.
You're practically one of us. Get it down, you.
You keep saying that. What's up with everybody around here? I tell you, I'm from London.
He's like, I'm not bothered where you're from. He's like, I said, we can smell our own.
Man, there's something going on here. I ain't no bleeding goblin. That's a fact. I'm saving myself for breakfast anyway. And I'm like sniffing the air, trying to get a waft of some breakfast.
He's like, well, he like pulls out a mushroom. He's like, take you don't mind if I do then?
No, you fill your boots.
And he like boshes one of these mushrooms into his mouth. At which point, as he eats this mushroom, his nose suddenly grows like massive, and as you're watching, a miserable looking face appears on the end of his nose. And this little face on the end of his nose goes, oh, that's just brilliant. Standing here in the snow, freezing my giblets off. Oh, that's just what I want. Oh. Which the goblin seems to find like hilarious, and he's like rolling around like laughing. And he's like, oh, got the old misery nose. And he's like, no, it's easy for you to say. You're not the one who's going to be full of snot because of all this cold.
Oh dear.
And every time this nose speaks, which is pretty much always to moan, the goblin just starts laughing and he's like rolling around.
Okay, so he's down for it then.
Yeah, I bet you're glad that didn't happen to you, Jack, though.
I turn away, like weeping, and I guess is there like any landmark in like the vicinity?
There's the frozen lake, the tower.
Yeah. I guess like then towards the tower, just like treading there, like inconsolable.
Yeah, so Jack, you're like, oh, I bet this guy this didn't affect you, Jack, and he's like, that turns towards his tower, it's like floods of tears like rolling down his face.
Okay. Well, let's see if I can get an invite.
Oh, you won't get an invite in there. I got the fucking misery nose.
Are there any invites? Are there any guests yet?
The goblin stops laughing for a minute and he's like, oh yeah, there's loads of guests. Many of them have been here for like years and years. But well, you have to get past the doorkeeper to get in.
How do you get in? The tradesman's entrance?
He says, well, I'm staff. As long as I'm like dropping off for delivery, I'm allowed in. But that's it. I'm just staff.
Do you think you could snaffle 3 invites from guests and bring them out for us?
He says, well, they don't really have invites. They know who they are. I might be able to sneak him in, and he like jerks a thumb at Big Mick.
Because it is one of your own.
Yeah, I could probably pass him off as a new lad.
I'll laugh without eating a mushroom.
The nose goes. Oh, I don't think that'd work, to be honest. He's like, look, however you want to get in, you got to get past old Grindle Grim and Grimmel Gridge. But once you pass them, you're golden.
They were on about them before, weren't they? They're them guys they said about before. Yeah.
Yep. The brothers G.
Well, should we have a word with them?
Yeah, I think I will.
Jackdaw's halfway there anyway.
Are you coming, Jackdaw?
Jackdaw. Oh look, he's halfway there.
Yeah, I guess like in the distance here. And he's as if he's practicing again for his by now just perfected art of pretending to be a laughing plague victim.
Yeah, you know, Jackdaw laughing like a madhead.
Okay. Right, to the tower. Is there like a bridge across the lake?
No, it just seems to be a frozen lake.
Okay. Well,
Okay, you head across to the doorway into the tower. It's polished cherry wood with ornate black iron fittings. You see the walls of the tower are covered in a sort of rime covering of frost. It's a wooden door. You can't see any lock on it.
See, if we can have a word with this princess, she might be able to give us this wish. That's what they said. That's what.
you think it's the same one?
Well, it all stacks up, doesn't it?
It does. I knock on the door.
Okay, you knock on the door and after a few moments you hear a voice going, "Who's there?"
Lieutenant Richard Uffington and my entourage.
Okay, the door swings open and what appears to be this huge figure that appears to be almost made entirely of like greyish clay sort of squeezes itself through the door and out of the open and rises up to about 10 foot tall. This huge, hairless, sort of fat troll-like creature, and on it, it's wearing like a strange sort of harness with like a little chair on its back, and there's a scrawny little goblin sat in the chair. The goblin leans around the troll's head and he's like, "Who'd you say you are? What do you want?"
Lieutenant Uffington, I believe we're from out of town. Wonder if there's a chance of us coming to see the wedding of your princess.
The little goblin like raps on the sort of clay-like head of the creature that it's riding and says, "Gremmelgridge, they on the guest list?" "Nah, they ain't on the guest list. Let's cover 'em in moss and crunch 'em and munch 'em." And he's like, "We got time to worry." Like claps him around the back of the head. He's like, "We got time to worry about that." He's like, "Nah, sorry, can't let you in the way you are. You'll be able to handle it."
Well, like I said, we're from out of town, so perhaps you could enlighten us.
Then he sees Jackdaw and he's like, "Oh, you can go in."
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you walk past him.
Mm-hmm.
He leans over to like the goblin that you guys are originally talking to, and he's like, "Here, Smudge, did he have one of yours? Did he?" He's like, the little talking nose is like, "Yes, he had one of his." Yeah, I had one of mine." "Yeah, well, he's all right then."
I shall hold a hand out to Smudge or Mudge. May I?
He's like, "If you want," he like wiggles the pouch.
I'll sigh. Yes, please.
he holds out, and you can see that like, even though Jackdaw and him both took big mushrooms out, there's like no sign of depletion in there. And you reach in and take a mushroom.
That one.
Roll yourself a d12 if you eat it.
Yum, 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 yum. Does it taste alright? Does it just taste like a mushroom, or does it have some other flavour?
No, it just tastes like a mushroom.
Nice, rather nice.
Okay, so as you're eating this mushroom, Big Mick, obviously you're not aware of any change to yourself at first, Lieutenant. Big Mick, however, as you're watching the Lieutenant, the colour slowly starts to like drain out of his face, and then as you watch, his body literally turns transparent.
That's what I thought you meant.
In front of your eyes. So for the next half hour, you are transparent, Lieutenant Uffington. Obviously, your clothes and whatnot aren't, but you are entirely see-through.
Does he look like glass, or does he look like invisible?
He looks like glass.
So he looks like a glass man.
Yeah. At which point, the little goblin sat on the back of the trolley is like, right, in you go.
Thank you.
Well, that's made things quite clear.
That was a shit joke. Well, I quite liked it, actually. Nose. He's like, you're going the right way for a good hard blowing, you are.
Come on then. Suppose I better have one of them stinking mushrooms.
Okay, roll yourself a d12.
A 4.
Okay, so you're stood there, and then everything starts to get really dark. And over the space of the next few moments, you suddenly realise you've gone entirely blind.
Oh.
Then you feel like a painful sensation in both your hands, and eyes sprout in the inside of your hands, both your hands. So you now have no eyes there, but you have eyes on your hands, through which you can see perfectly normally. And that will last for half an hour. You don't take any. As long as you've got a hand, you can do that with. You don't take any penalty. The goblin on the back of the big troll's like, go on then. Don't be causing any trouble, you lot, while you're in there.
I shall give that.
I still say we should have manched them good. Well, you said that about everyone, Grimogridge.
I shall give that big mud man a hard look as I go past. I give him the evil eye.
Nice. Okay, so as you all head into the tower, you enter what appears to be a small sort of entrance hall. So opposite you, there's a doorway in the north wall through which delicious smells of like cooking and food are wafting through. More delicious than any food you've ever smelt in your life. And there was also what looks to be the start of a set of spiral stairs heading up around the inside of the tower. Sorry.
Probably Mick's convinced that he's not woken up from his slumber at this point.
You can hear the sound of, like, as well as delicious smells, you can hear the sound of like pots and pans being rattled inside this, beyond this doorway ahead of you.
Follow my nose, I reckon.
Okay, so Mick, you head over towards this wooden door. Again, there's no lock on it. You can hear like muffled voices from beyond this thick door, pots and pans being rattled about. There's the delicious smell of cooking going on.
I'll just open the door a crack and slide my hand in and have a look, see what's in there.
Okay, as the door opens, a small humanoid figure, probably about 4 or 5 foot tall, if that, with pale blue skin, pointy ears, and sort of twinkling pearlescent eyes, carrying like a big pile of plates laden with like beautiful and fantastical looking food, sort of like almost bumps into you as you sort of open the door, and he's like, oh, good, you're here. He's like, quick, and he starts like piling all these like plates into your arms, Mick, before you have a chance to react. And he's like, quick, we need to get more food up to the guests. And
I'll be standing there holding this tray. So look, mate, I'd love to help you, but I can't see a thing with you putting that tray in my hands. You have to take this tray off me, mate. I can't see a thing.
Is that look? It carries on like piling this. Look, we haven't got time. No one knows when the betrothed's going to arrive. We've got to get more food up to the guests. Oh, they'll play merry hell if they haven't got enough food. Some of them have been here for years.
I'll turn around to the lieutenant. Lieutenant, you're going to have to help me. Can you take this tray off? Where are you?
Give him here then.
Lieutenant, where are you?
I'm here. You can see me.
As Mick sort of looks over, you actually see he's got no eyes. There's just like blank flesh where his eyes were.
Oh, I'll manoeuvre myself and take them off him. I've got them.
Okay, as you take the trays off him, you can see the eyes on his hands.
Blinking.
Okay. Didn't see that coming.
No, it's these stinking mushrooms to stitch me right up.
As you're sort of like looking past him, Lieutenant, you can see another of these sort of like chubby little blue elven figures in the room, sort of frantically like working like pots and pans and like cooking about 18 different dishes, like throwing spices in. There's like flames from like various hobs coming up, and you can see what appears to be an open door at the far end, which looks to like lead into like some sort of pantry or something similar. And there's like trays and plates of like the most like fantastic foods, like jellies, fruit tarts, all manner of like the most beautiful food you've ever seen. Like sort of like the sort of, I suppose, like culinary delights, like Michelin star stuff. And this pantry must be like massive because like as you're looking in through the door, you can't actually see the end of it.
Yeah.
Quick! We haven't got time. Quick! Get these upstairs to the feast hall.
Right away.
Is he showing us the way? Like, is he
He's
gesticulating?
like gesturing to the staircase.
Right. Let's go. Should be up there.
Set off.
While all this tomfoolery is going on, what is Jackdaw up to?
I like to think that
Just sat still there like, I love a rhubarb crumble.
I like to think that because there's like a bunch of individuals around, and it's no longer like the four of us. Like he got into like a ping pong loop with like someone saying something to him, and him reacting with the like inconsolable like weeping, and then someone being like, "Oh, what's up? Like, why are you like this?" And then and then the other one's like, "What the shit is wrong with you?" And he's just being like locked in place with like people commenting to him. It's like
Okay, and that's exactly what's been happening.
So he's just been in the background being destroyed.
Okay, are you following your companions up the stairs?
Yeah, I like when I get enough of a chance to like wipe the tears and see that they're actually going somewhere. I was like,
Okay, so you guys head up the stairs, and it opens up into what appears to be a large feasting hall. There is a huge table in the centre of the room, fairly groaning with luxurious dishes and produce like roast swans, mountains of fanciful fruits, buckets of ice with like bottles coming out of it. There's like champagne flutes on the table, and there's various bowls of flowers of all different colours on the table. Seated at the table are what appear to be 7 tall, almost painfully beautiful figures with light blue skin, pointed ears, chiselled good looks. They're all sat there looking a little bit bored, occasionally like popping a bit of fruit into their mouths. You see a couple of them are sort of like drumming their hands on the table, and standing around the edge of the room are what appear to be 5 figures, again very similar in appearance, but they are wearing this sort of strangely formed armour. They look heavily armoured, they're carrying weapons. In fact, they look a bit like the figure out of that mural from the tomb. And they just appear to be like stood almost at attention around the side of the room. As you enter, one of the figures sat at that table just like goes, "Oh, more food.
Just find a space for it on the table somewhere.
Can we see the woman with the star on her head?
Nope.
Mick,
Mm.
I don't think the betrothed is going to be turning up.
As you're saying that, you hear one of the gentlemen at the table swilling a bit of wine around in his champagne flute, pinky up, of course, says, "Oh, I see Princess Snowfall at dusk has started to stock her tower with her mortal servants. Well, I know she's been alone for quite a while, but rarely." Takes a sip out of the wine. Still, I suppose that perhaps it helps her pass the time whilst waiting for her beloved.
I'll look at him with my hand. Yeah. Begging your pardon, but I ain't no servant as it goes.
A jester perhaps then.
Well, I do tell a mean joke.
Splendid. Play on, mortal. Play on.
I'm afraid I would love to sit here and entertain you, of course. I don't mind a joke every now and then and a little bit of a jest, but I'm here on serious business, as are my companions.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. Please, won't you join us for a drink whilst we're all waiting?
Well, I'm partial to a drink. You've sussed me out. However, I'm looking for this princess lady of yours, I do believe.
Well, you and the rest of us, I'm sure at some point she'll deign to grace us with her presence. At which point this elven gentleman holds a hand up like that, and one of the bottles of wine just slides across the table into his hand.
That's a neat trick.
He pours some into one of these fluted champagne glasses and picks it up and holds it out to you.
Oh, don't mind if I do. Bottoms up.
Okay, you drink that. Make me an intelligence roll.
No, yeah. Good luck with that. Yeah, not so much. So that is -1, and that is a 7.
Okay, you are not harmed in any way by the wine. However, in the future, and at odd points for the rest of your days, you will dream of how amazingly fine this wine was, and some part of you will always subconsciously yearn to return to the realms of the fairy. No systemic effect, it's just a roleplay thing. But yeah, it's literally like the finest wine you've ever tasted. It's like if someone had made a wine out of sunbeams, that's what it tastes like.
Well, where I come from, that seems like that would be accurate to want to come back here anyway. So where is this princess then? If she's not here, where is she? We've got to see her.
The noble that you're talking to clicks his fingers, and a couple of the guards snap to attention. Says, "Please escort these people upstairs to the princess's chamber. After all, it's not really the done thing that we should be addressing you, since we are not the owners of this place. It is not our home. I'm sure the princess can decide what to do with you." At which point one of the guards is like, "Yes, sir, of course." And he turns around to you through like the visor slot of his helmet and says, "Please follow me."
Okie dokie. Well, thank you very much. Cheers. Nice wine.
Okay, you're led up the continuing staircase
into what appears to be the top room of the tower. It's a plushly laid out bed chamber. There is a large canopy bed which has sort of veils of almost like duster-like snow over it. There is a dressing table with some jewellery boxes on it, a wardrobe. There's also a fireplace, and as you walk past it, it's weird, there's not sort of fire in the fireplace. There's what appears to be icicles instead of wood burning with a blue flame. As you walk in, you see a young, beautiful woman. You recognise her as the woman depicted in the statuary. Long blonde hair, star on the centre of her brow, wearing a long flowing white dress. She's sat on the edge of the bed, delicately poised on the edge of the bed. As you're led in by the guards, says, Mistress, some uninvited mortals here. And you notice, like, she sort of looks all, like, briefly, like, very excited as he says, mortals, and then when she, like, sees you, she sort of, like, calms down a little bit. And she says, please forgive me, it's been such a long time since I've had mortals in my home. Please, won't you come and sit down? And she gestures at, like, the edge of this, like, large bed.
I like look at the lieutenant and Jack Door and like look around waiting for them to make a.
Off you go, Mick.
All right. I sort of wander forward with me hands out, trying to find my way.
As you're sort of stumbling around, she says, I can see you are afflicted, and she sort of like, she reaches down and picks up like a handful of this powdery snow which is laid over the bed, and she sort of goes like that, and it appears to turn into sort of glittering motes of light, blue light, as they drift towards you. And as they touch you, Mick, these eyes on your hands disappear, and they sort of like, your eyes pop back into your face.
Oh, that's better. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, thank you very much.
Not at all. I'm aware that the staff do enjoy their jokes, but it's very hard to find good help nowadays.
Yeah.
Particularly when I can't leave this place. I have to make do with what I've got.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping you might be able to assist us. I don't like to ask, but it seems to be. Well, I've been led here. I keep running into people that seem to think I should be here, or my place is here, or I'm having these strange dreams and visions.
Please,
I keep seeing you in my dreams.
She sort of like raises a hand up, like just puts a finger against your lips and says, "But please, I must beg your forgiveness for that. That is no doubt my fault. Although I cannot physically leave this area, I am not without means, and my abilities allow me to reach out to those who have been touched by the realms of fairy, to attempt to summon those who might be able to aid me in being reunited with my love. But I have little control over how their mind perceives this summoning."
Oh, right. Well, that kind of makes sense in a funny sort of way. So, we've heard a little bit about your plight.
Indeed, my father, the Cold Prince, has restrained me here. In fact, although it has been so long, I fear that he has quite forgotten that I am even here. But
So-
his will is strong and it remains, and therefore I cannot leave this place.
Why is he restrained you here then? Are you upset him?
Well, during the war in your world, where my kind fought against yours, there were those like myself who saw something worthwhile in your kind, and I I met a man, a beautiful man, a man of faith, who won my heart, and we agreed in secret that we would be together forever. I exchanged a token with him, as is the way of my kind. Unfortunately, he was slain in the last days of the war, just before my father was banished from your world. In his anger, my father, realizing that even death would not keep apart those who the laws of fairy would draw together, confined me here, knowing that my love would not be able to travel here, his spirit would not be able to dwell here. But even so, the token I gave him has drawn his spirit towards me, such that this place, and she gestures around the room, and the place where his remains rest almost touch each other now. I had hoped long ago that both places would become as one and we would be united, but those who, in their misguided faith, cared for his remains, they used their own methods to prevent us from being together and to keep us apart. The candles that you may have seen outside ward this place, keeping it separate from your realm. It is my belief that the spirit of my beloved is bound to the token that I gave him. If that token could be physically bought here, I believe his spirit would come with it, and then I would not care if I were trapped here for an eternity, as long as we were together. I would give almost anything to see him again.
And do you know the whereabouts of this token?
I believe it lies with his mortal body.
It's behind the dearest door. You think?
Mm-hmm. Could it be a ring?
Yes, a small golden ring.
Wow.
I gave it to him so many years ago.
We will bring it for you.
At which point her eyes seem to fill with tears, and as the tears sort of drip down, they become like little motes of frost drifting away from her beautiful face. And she says, you would do that for me, even though you barely know me?
I have been in a similar situation, but my case is a little different and perhaps not as easily remedied. I will help you without question.
She walks over to you and she sort of clasps your hands and then sort of puts her forehead in and says, gentle, good mortal, if you would do this, my gratitude would know no bounds. I have it within my power, a birthright that was bequeathed to me by my father, to grant a mortal's heart's desire. But this is a gift that was given to me when I was very young, and a gift that can only be used once. I would gladly use that ability for yourselves as a repayment for the service you would do me if you can bring my love here. But be warned, it can only be used once. So think carefully on what it is that you wish for. And she releases your hands.
Why not simply wait around and conjure those who would not use your priceless gift? You clearly have the capability to summon us, even though you did not know that it would be specifically the faces that you see here now.
I've been attempting to summon people that I thought would help me for many years. Many of my guests have been here for longer than a mortal span, but it is only recently, with the weakening of the wards that were placed around this area, that I have actually been able to break through. And as I've said, I have little, even the wards, cracking as they are, they still warp and diminish my abilities. That is why I have so little control over them. It's so cruelly ironic that within this place my powers are great, but only within this place.
Yes, it is also, I suppose, ironic that I am a king beyond the portal, and I do not think you would be able to tell.
There are many who lay claim to being a king and do not deserve it, whilst there are others who would deserve it and yet do not know the title. After all, my father is a prince, and I've seen him do things that I would shudder to mention. This snow, this winter you see here is but a pale echo of his anger, diminished as it is by the hundreds of years.
Shall we then?
We shall.
Well, we'll see what we can do. I mean, I don't really understand. I'm only a simple fella, but if we can help, I'm sure the lieutenant and these other fellas will have some better ideas than me, but perhaps we can help out each other.
Well, I'm sure you will be able to help in your way. After all, you are touched by the lands of Fairy, are you not? Otherwise, my entreaties would not have reached your ears.
Well, so I keep being told, but if I'm honest, I don't really know what you're talking about. I do know, however, that there is some mighty strange stuff going on, and yeah, things are starting to take shape, shall we say. And I got a bit more understanding of why my sister acts a bit strangely now, I must say.
Well, if you'd like to know more, perhaps I can help you.
How do you mean?
She reaches up to her cheek where a single tear falls down, and she wipes it away. And as she holds up her hand towards you, you see this single teardrop on the end of her finger, and she gestures for you to come closer.
Yeah, I'll head over there, kind of cautiously.
Close your eyes.
And close my eyes.
And you feel some cold wetness as she puts the tear on your eyes. Then, a few moments later, you're no longer stood in this scene. You're in Great London. In fact, you're outside your family home. And as you sort of look around, you can see like the front door to your gaff, basically. Although the old home looks like a little bit more sort of like a little less sort of done up than as you remember it. And you can see there's like a few less sort of buildings around. And as you look down, you see there are what appear to be two small babies wrapped up in cloths on the doorstep. The door opens and you see your mother, although she's considerably younger. She opens the door. From inside you hear your father's voice going, "What is it?" And she's like, "It's two babies, Frank." And he's like, "You what?" She's like, "It's two babies, Frank." And you hear like a dun 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 as he comes to the door, and he's like, Nah, we don't need no other mouths to feed. Go go call some of the peakers or whatever. They'll take him, or take him to a church. They'll take him off her hands, and she'll be like, oh, come on, Frank. You know, we've been trying to have kids, and like it's not been happening for us. I mean, look, it's a miracle, is what it is, Frank. I mean, I've been praying as hard as I can, and now Gail's blessed us with these 2 tiny little miracles. At which point he says something, mutters something under his breath, and turns and walks back inside. You see your mother pick up these 2 bundles, and she's like, oh, don't you worry about it. He's grumpy, but he'll soon settle down. I'm going to take good care of the 2 of you. And she walks back inside, carrying these 2 small bundles, and the door shuts behind her. And as the door slams shut, your eyes open and you're back in the Winter Tower.
Wow, there you go. The plot thickens. I'll look around like as if to see if these other fellas have seen any of what's gone on, kind of thing.
As far as you guys are concerned, like literally like a second's passed.
I just like nod to myself and like look at this princess lady and just kind of like give her a bit of a sort of a smile and just be nodding knowingly at her.
She smiles
like,
back at you.
Much obliged, thank you very much.
Not at all. As I said, ironically, my powers are great, but only in this place. But as I said, I'm more than willing to spend my birthright on your behalf if you can reunite me with my love, my dear Sir Chide.
Right then, fellas, you heard the lady. She said we've got to find Sir Chide and his token, her token, his token, their token.
Yeah, we get it.
Okay.
Let's go.
And as you guys leave the tower, starting to head back towards the portal, since we're fairly late, that is where we're going to wrap up this session, and we will pick up next time with you guys exploring the tomb, and I'm sure next time we'll finish off this adventure and wrap it up. So thank you very much for playing, guys. As always, I'm happy to chat for a while after we finish, but I hope you guys enjoyed the session.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, excellent.
And thank you to obviously my wonderful players and to anyone who's watching. I'm going to end the stream now. Take care.